NWBrewmeisters. And full disclosure, we don't want to indicate that we're meisters of any sort because, but we are. Let's just face it, we are meisters of something. But what we do here is brew beer. And so that is what today is all about.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And, of course, getting everything set up because we're never ready. We are perhaps the most professional broadcast this side of the Columbia River.
We're the Never Ready Meisters.
The Never Ready Meisters there. That's something we have mastered. Not being ready.
Not being ready.
Ever. Which is really pathetic because we set up so much and then somehow managed to not be ready the moment after we press go live.
Go live. Right. That's right.
I don't get it.
One day.
One day we'll get this figured out. That's right. So, anyways, today we are brewing an Irish red ale, right?
Correct.
Right. Is it just an amber?
No, it's a red ale.
It's a red ale, so it's not an amber.
Not an amber, it's a red ale.
You mean I bought ambers because we're doing a red ale, but we're not?
Amber's a shade of red.
It is a shade of red.
It's a hue.
It's a hue. It's like I think most redheads like to be called amber.
Ambers, yeah.
I mean, maybe not. Like if they were named Cynthia, they might not want to be called Amber. But if they had red hair,
right?
I don't know. Redheads, chime in. Let us know. Do you prefer to have your hair called amber or red?
Or ginger.
Ginger. Well, wait. Is amber really red? I don't know.
I think amber is more of a ambery, orangey color, maybe.
It's more orange. Mm-hmm. So with that, I doubt they'd want to be called Amber, particularly if their name was not Amber. Just saying.
Just saying.
All right. Let's get to this. And dropping the paper.
What makes this ale a red ale, if I recall, is the malted barley, or no, roasted barley. Excuse me, roasted barley will give it kind of a red tinge once it's done its beer thing. So
once we get it brewed, we'll sample it and we'll taste it.
We'll let you know.
It'll be awesome. We'll do it here. Of course, all our beers are awesome if you ask us.
Oh yeah, we're fully biased.
Yes, we love our beers. All right, so here we go. Red Tide, that's the name of this. Just a touch of roasted barley gives this brew a nice red color. Coupled with traditional hops, Red Tide is a crowd pleaser that everyone can enjoy. Original gravity, 1.048. Final gravity, 1.013. ABV, which is alcohol by volume, 4.6%, so not a real kick in the head beer.
Kicker, yeah. This is fine.
Could drink it all afternoon and into the late evening and still be okay to stand up. And IBU is 21, so not terribly
bitter.
Not terribly bitter, exactly. Kit inventory, which we go through this, we used to show it, but we've had, oh wait, where's the yeast?
It's in the house. Not by a heat source.
Yes, I'll let you tell any new viewers the story of what happened last brew day.
So, I'll keep it nice and concise.
No, do the whole story.
Heat kills yeast.
Well, yeah.
And some brewers, what they'll do to kind of act as a catalyst to get the yeast activated is they'll put it near a heat source, maybe a light bulb, or in my case, I put it too close to a electric baseboard heater that's in the house, and kind of forgot it was there, and it really activated that yeast. The catalyst part of it worked, but it killed the yeast at the same time because it literally got too hot. So we had to go a day without any fermentation going on until I got more yeast. So anyway, yeah, I goofed that one up, so lesson learned.
Yeah, well, we're not slamming on Steve at all, any means, but it did finally take off.
Yeah.
But then we had to buy some yeast, and the only place that was open tried to sell us expired yeast, which we ended up buying.
Yeah, out of desperation.
And so we pitched it, and nothing happened for another 2 days. So that's 4 days sitting in the fermenter doing nothing.
So.
And then it started to burble, and now it's at the house, and we just racked it last night, and it tasted all right.
It's okay.
Tasted all right. So no infection, tastes like a beer, but we really don't know what that beer is anymore. We know what we started to brew, but what it is now, it's a beer. By the way, shout out to Dan. I see you making comments there. Thank you very much for joining, at least briefly, if not for the whole broadcast. All right, so let's see here. Where were we? So the steeping grains, which are, do we even have the grains out there?
I'll grab the grains.
Okay, so The grains are like the special grains. They're not really the malts. You get the malts from
the extracts.
From the extracts, which is another grain process. They're still extracted from grains, but it's not the same.
These are steeping grains.
Right, they're like specialty grains. They give the beer its distinct flavor and things like that. I mean, so do your malts to an extent, but these are just it's all part of the process of giving the beer the flavor. In this case, the roasted barley inside the grains. Oh, what am I holding?
Just hold the spoon.
Okay, holding the spoon. The roasted barley gives it a color, and it has to give it
smaller now.
Try again. All right, so anyway, I will hold the spoon. All right, the roasted barley gives it color. So we got 1 pound of Crystal 80, and that's actually barley also, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think it is.
I think most of it's barley.
That's the main grain in beer.
Yeah, you're
I mean,
right.
because wheat beers are very specifically called wheat beers. And when you add corn and rice, they're called adjuncts. Got it? Is it off the bottom?
It's off the bottom.
Okay, good. The reason that's a big deal is because if you put it right on the bottom, then you'll burn your specialty grains. Kind of like, I don't know, I've never made tea. Like with the tea bag.
Right.
I mean, I have, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, you just want to keep your muslin sack off the bottom surface of your boiling kettle.
Because we will have the heat going on, and so will be scorching. Are we going to go cold to hot, or are we going to start hot?
Let's just go cold to hot like we usually do.
Okay, cold to hot. Anyway, so there's the grains, and then we've got 6.6 pounds of golden light liquid malt extract, which is just like, that's the molasses that is extracted from the other grains that they use. And then hops is Goldings and Fuggles. Well, that's fun. It's like a Harry Potter hops.
That's what I was thinking. Harry Potter style.
Fuggles, Muggles, apparently these are non-magic using hops. Fuggles. And that's put in at the 5-minute mark. So that's going to be pretty aromatic. Those last hops are your aromatic hops. Your first hops are your bittering hops. And last time, that's what we were reading about. The whole thing about the hops is that if you didn't add your bittering hops, then your beer would end up tasting, well, pretty much like barley soda. Like really barley pop. I don't know if you have that term in your part of the world, wherever you're viewing from, but yeah, barley pop. So in any case, the bittering hops is what makes beer taste like beer and not some sweet syrupy concoction. And then in the middle, you'll sometimes add flavoring hops, which change the flavor of the beer. And then towards the end, like in the last 15 to 10 to 5 to 1 minute, we've even had some where you throw hops in at the very end. Those are your aromatic hops, and that's what makes your beer have that smell at the end. So anyways, there we go. Goldings and Fuggles, and the Fuggles are pitched at 5 minutes. And so that's pretty close to the end of the boil. The boil lasts about 1 hour. All right, yeast, first choice, why yeast? 1084 Irish Ale. So, Irish Ale yeast. Your yeasts are very instrumental in giving you your different kinds of beers. Bottling primer, which we don't do that. If we were bottling, then we would use the bottling sugar. So, the directions on all of these are very nearly identical. Activate the yeast culture. Done? Yeast culture? Yeast? You smack the pack?
Yeah, I smacked it like 3 hours ago.
Okay, so smack the pack. Don't put it on a heater because you'll kill it.
Don't put it on a heater.
Start with 3 gallons of water, which Steve just did. And then we do the whole try not to burn Jamie's hand thing. Because we have yet to get an aiming flame, which is really, I don't know why we haven't done that.
I
But
just keep forgetting that when I go out.
have my lighter.
Okay, let me find the sweet spot.
My lighter from England. That's right, from when I went to England. Because I know I've got some English friends out there, and they might watch this. Okay.
Ready?
Good. Perfect. All right. Yep. That's okay. I didn't need those hairs. All right. Sweet.
Try to get this centered. That's good to me. All right. So I just poured in 3 US gallons of tap water.
That's right. Even though it looked like it came out of spring water bottles.
Yeah. We're experimenting a little bit with, trying different water profiles, and we're just using the local city water here. This batch and then the previous batch of the cream ale that may not be cream ale anymore.
Yeah,
because of our yeast.
We have no idea.
But we're seeing a bit how much it affects the taste, if at all. There's different schools of thought when it comes to brewing water, and people I've talked to would swear by good old tap water. So we'll see. Some folks are a little more serious about it, and they try to match water profiles of a certain part of the world. Maybe they're making a German beer, and they want to match their local water as close to the the type of water that's over there in Germany. They'll add things to their water, or I don't know, filter or something to try to match the water profiles.
Well, they'll add. I was talking with the guys from the brewery down south, and they said they actually add things to their water. It's minerals and stuff like that. They're not really trying to match a water profile so much as they're just doing things to balance it out and stuff.
I see what you're saying.
So, yeah.
All right, we have 100 more degrees to get through before we're ready.
Okay, so killing time till then, which is what we do. But we could talk about the beer we're drinking.
Yeah.
For right now. Scuttlebutt Brewing Company out of Everett, Washington. And this is an amber ale, not a red ale. 5.1% alcohol by volume, and that's about all it says on the bottle. Because that's what
fine.
Beer drinkers always seem to worry about.
All right. What's the ABV?
I don't know. That's not the most important thing.
But does it taste good? It does. It does taste good. It's not too malty.
Well, would you consider this lighter?
I would consider this kind of a lighter.
Well, that's what you said when I was coming over. It's like, let's try something a little bit lighter, not quite as heavy as what we usually do.
Right.
It's true. We've been drinking some heavy beers over the past month, not just in the broadcast, but just
Our home beer,
just hanging out when we're not on camera. Because we brewed some heavy beers. Yeah.
We just recently floated a keg of stout, so
that was heavy. And then that Roquefort or the Rockfish 8.
Rockfish 8, yeah, that was heavy. That was thick.
That is very heavy. And
that was a Belgian dark.
Yeah, it's like not only do you get a little tipsy, but you get full.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's okay. I need to digest for a while.
But now that it's warming up, my personal taste will start changing towards lighter beers for the warmer weather. Like crisp citrusy IPAs during the summer. Like now in the spring, these ambers are nice. And we also have some, what were those, Pilsners? No, lagers.
Classic lager. It just says lager. It's like, what kind of beer is it?
Right,
lager.
From Aslan Brewing Company. So.
Lager.
Yeah, it's kind of generic.
Lager.
Just generic can. Lager.
It's kind of fun to say. Lager.
And then I favor heavier, darker beers, during the cooler time of the year. Where I live, it's fall and winter where it's nice and cold. So
True. I drink everything all year round.
Yeah, I'll drink any kind of beer any time of the year, but I just tend to favor certain styles depending on the weather.
That's true. I just don't. I don't care. I'll drink whatever you hand me.
Right?
Even if it's a horrible American macro brew domestic Pilsner.
Fizzy yellow beer.
Yellow fizzy beer. That's not so horrible. I still like Coors Light. I know. That's
okay.
Probably lost half our viewership.
You're like, oh, done.
But that's okay, though, because half of zero is what? Zero? So we're standing good. Yep, that's right. Thank you.
You can't divide by zero, though.
What?
It's undefined.
But you can divide into zero. What's half of zero? Zero. Right.
I know.
But you can't.
I mean, facetious.
Why you gotta be so highbrow, man? Jeez. We're about beer, not this academia stuff, man.
Jeez.
Although, we do say that we drink beer and know things.
No things, right?
We are totally going to get sued by HBO if we keep that up. Just totally sued.
I don't think so.
Hmm?
I don't think so.
It's true. Well, he drinks wine and knows things. So what are we sitting at?
78 degrees.
Okay, we got a ways
Fahrenheit.
to go. So,
Out. What do you want?
So, Amber Ale, Brewing Company, 1996, Everett, Washington, and it's pretty good.
Unless you're like about to die, do not disturb us again. You hear me? Sorry, I had to take care of some business.
Kids.
Okay, what were you saying?
I don't know. I was stalling for time. So, anyways, that's what we're drinking. This is good. And later on, we're going to drink some lagers because lagers are known for having like a light finish. Like, they're not supposed to have like that heavy aftertaste. That's what they're supposed to.
Right.
Right? Okay.
We also have a IPA that I caved up about a week ago and started carbonating. We took a little taste.
I think it's fully drinkable right now, this moment.
We took a taste test earlier, and it's definitely drinkable.
Totally drinkable.
It still could use a little bit more carbonation, though, to my taste. You know, it's not done. It hasn't reached its little threshold according to the chart. So
he's more patient than I am. I'm like, drink it now! Drink it now! I regret buying beer when we had beer that we could drink.
Well,
My life is full of regret. Full of regret.
Not ready yet. So we're heating up this water and grain bundle to anywhere between 150 and 160 degrees. And then we'll start our timer and let it steep and do our best to maintain, you know, that temperature range. Some people turn the fire off. Some people bring it up to temperature first and then put the grains in. You know, I learned about cold steeping it up to temperature and then letting the timer go, and it seems to work well for us. So, you know.
Although, I don't know. We're gonna have to really, we're gonna have to do like control experimental batches.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I will have to drink them side by side. It's like, okay, this one we brought the water up slowly. This one we started with hot water. Which one tastes better? Or does it? I don't think it matters either.
You know.
Who's it was that one guy?
It was the one guy. I can't remember his name now, but yeah.
Matt, Mike. Was it M? Greg.
No.
Bob.
I don't know his name.
I'm running out of names here.
Either way, this guy's won awards and medals, you know, for homebrew and meads, things like that. So I would say he's pretty credible, you know, on what his explanation was, which I think it just kind of adds a little extra color and flavor to it, if anything.
Well, yeah, he had explanations for the whole thing. We can look it up. You know, we've got the power of the internet here. Mm. But that's actually not what we're going to talk about today. We have something else to talk about because of the horrible accident with the yeast.
Right.
What we're going to talk about is infections. Because we're actually really worried about that, because one of the reasons that you pitch your yeast as quickly or as close to the boil as possible is so that your yeast, the yeast that you want to be in your beer, gets the head start in starting to do the fermentation process. And then hopefully it kicks all the other bugs out, you know, so nobody else is able to actually do the fermentation. Your yeast gets the head start. If your yeast does not get the head start, then other yeast, wild yeasts, and various bacteria can get a head start in there, and they can do funky things to your beer. So, yesterday, we jumped on to a few sites just to check out some things. So this one is just from homebrewsupply.com, and big subtitle is your beer infected? Infection is a term used to describe an unintended flavor created by wild yeast or bacteria. Usually brewers find that sanitation practices are to blame for infection, i.e. you did not sanitize things.
Right.
And so that's thing. So you've made a batch of beer. Maybe it's your first or maybe it's your 10th, but this fermentation is looking a little weird. You look inside and know what's that growing on top. Krausen, mold, or something else. By the way, we finally figured out. A couple episodes again, we were trying to figure out what the foam on the top of the beer is. It's called Krausen. So, anyways, top of the beer.
Must be German.
All right. So, basically, you look at your beer. It doesn't look like you think it should look. And you're like, is it infected? And the short answer is, maybe. But probably not. In the wise words of Charlie Papazian, relax. Don't worry. Have a homebrew. Which we have stolen from him and use it in our broadcast now. All right. So, why you shouldn't dump the batch. Number one, the guy saying your batch might not be infected. It might just look weird. So particularly if you're a new brewer, because Krausen, that foamy stuff, looks really gross, to be quite honest.
Right.
It's all like foamy and like dirty looking because it's got little bits of it and that. Yeah, a little bit hot there. Is it about there?
Warm.
And
It's supposed to get warm.
if you had a lot of hops, then you could have little green bits. Anyways, it doesn't look good. It is. So, anyways, it says more often than not the beer is perfectly fine. So, it says number one, your batch might not be infected. Number two, the batch may not be bad. So what that means, like even if it did get slightly infected or something, it's still okay as beer. If you don't clearly see a pellicle, which we'll discuss in a minute, or mold in your beer, then use a sanitizing measuring cup or wine thief to draw out a sample. What's a wine thief again?
It's like a giant dropper for like sticking it in the bottle and taking the sample.
Like an eyedropper?
Yeah, like a giant eyedropper. That's all it is.
Oh,
That's when I looked it up. That's what looked like to me.
so just big round tube, bulb on the top,
Yeah.
hole in the bottom.
And it's long and narrow, so it can fit down into a wine bottle.
Right.
That's
Seems
what
like it'd take an awfully long time to steal a substantial quantity of wine with something like that.
I know.
All right, carrying on. So, best way to determine if you've got a bad batch is take a little bit and taste it. That's it. From my personal experience, and this is from the author, if you have an infected beer, you'll know. Depending on what little bugs have taken over in your fermenter, you might note things like butter, vinegar, tart cherry, wet blanket, and barnyard. Now, wet blanket
I don't know what a wet blanket tastes like.
and barnyard.
I've never
If any of
tasted
you out there have gone around tasting barnyards, please let us know. Put it in the comments. Explain to us what a barnyard tastes like. Because we don't know. Neither do we chew on wet blankets.
No?
Ever.
Ever.
Like,
Maybe
not-
as a baby, but I don't remember what it tasted like if I did.
Yes, no. I'm pretty sure. No wet blankets. But I'm assuming these are supposed to be bad flavors.
Probably just give an idea of what. Use your imagination, like, oh, that probably tastes terrible.
Yep. Long and the short, if your beer tastes gross, it's infected. If it doesn't, then it's not infected. Even if it doesn't taste what you meant for it to taste like.
Yeah, it might come out different, but it may not necessarily be infected. Also, something to note is you will never have to worry about toxic effects. Toxins, things that produce toxins in beers, they don't survive in beer. So nothing, if you ever had a bad batch and a truly infected beer, it would never actually make you sick. It would just be terrible to taste, but you wouldn't actually get physically ill from it though.
Although there was that one beer we left in the fermenter for like 2.5 years.
Yeah, I would touch that.
That was, we never did. We sat there and looked at it and just wondering if we should test that idea. But I probably would have hurled. And I have a strong stomach.
It was probably grosser than gross, you know.
Yeah, that would have been like drinking motor oil, but
Yeah.
motor oil that doesn't kill you. It took a long time to clean that carbo ice, I remember.
Yeah, that was an experience.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that one again. All right, so how do you tell if it's infected? All right, we've got, so number one, mold. Mold is pretty obvious. So the mold in beer looks just like the mold on bread or on cheese or anything else. Usually green or white, and it's usually fuzzy, and it kind of floats up on top. So here's the thing. Here's something interesting about mold, though.
Get our timer set up, yeah.
So are we good?
We're almost there.
Oh, nice. So the thing about mold is that mold, and that's in another article. I'm sure I'll probably repeat this point because I read all these articles already. Is that mold doesn't penetrate down into the beer. So you've got the mold on top, but it's not releasing toxins or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so down below is perfectly good beer. It's like 5 gallons of perfectly good beer with like 2 or 3 ounces up on top that are ruined by the mold. So if you can get through that mold without pushing it down into the beer, then you can siphon off all the beer and then stop before the mold gets down there.
You can essentially salvage your worth there. So
Right, which it depends on how brave you are. There's some people, like my wife, would be like, nope, not doing it. You drink all that yourself.
Right.
I don't care what the people at the brew supply place say. No. So anyways, so yeah, you can actually save a batch of beer that's been infected with mold. Now, pellicle is different. A pellicle is like, well, let me see. If the top of your beer looks like it has a layer of white chalky film and bubbles that don't pop, so they're like permanently there, then you definitely have an infection. A lot of brewers suggest dumping a batch of beer with this type of infection. Your other option is to let it age longer to see if you get a tasty sour out of it. So it's possible. So the pellicle is this layer, it's like a film, a chalky film that's on top of the beer. And it is a defense mechanism for the yeasts and bacteria that are growing in there because they're anaerobic. In other words, they don't like oxygen. And so they produce this layer to protect themselves from the oxygen.
Right.
Now, the one thing that I was reading is that it's possible that you can have this infection and not have a pellicle, because if your carboy is filled with carbon dioxide, then these little bugs don't need to produce that pellicle.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't care about carbon dioxide. What they care about is the oxygen.
Right. Yeah.
So if that oxygen has been displaced already, then you could possibly have an infection without the nastiness on top of your beer, and then you just find out when you tasted it. Come back up here. All right. So, yada yada yada.
There.
A lot of brewers suggest dumping a batch of beer with this type of infection, but your other option is to let the beer age longer to see if you get a tasty sour out of it. And there is a beer where they do this very much on purpose, and it's called lambic beer, and we'll talk about it later.
Right.
Now here's the one thing where this actually can be dangerous, is if you're bottling infected beer. This one did say that. Is that wild yeast and bacteria will consume much of the residual sugars that your brewing yeast left behind. Partner that with the sugar you add at bottling, and you have the potential for bottle bombs and gushers. Believe me, they aren't as fun as you sound. And I know I have at least one friend who might be watching now who blew up a bottle in his closet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was messy and pieces of glass all over the closet.
Yeah, that's not a fun experience, I imagine, having to deal with that.
Right. So, here is a little personal wisdom I've gleaned from many years of brewing. If, while brewing, you ever think to yourself, did I sanitize this? Then no, you did not. Right. Sanitize it again.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Like home brewer 101. If there's anything you need to get down pat, that's the sanitization. That's like the first thing you should master as you're learning how to do homebrew.
All right. So we got another one. A lot of these are they're just retreads of all of the it's the same stuff over and over again. But again, we're on learningtobrew.com. How to tell if your beer is infected. Common worry is infected beer, which is true. You always stress that, especially at the beginning. Did I do this? Did I do that? And
we kind of, at least at the bottling stage, we minimize that because we don't bottle, we keg. So
yeah,
we kind of cut out some of the risk of infecting our beer even after it's bottled. Of course, we could also screw up and not sanitize a keg properly, but by the time the beer goes into the keg, I mean it's done fermenting. It's probably not going to ferment anymore at all.
Yeah. All right. So 2 main causes: wild yeast and bacteria. Regarding a wild yeast strain, there's not much you can do. The only way to prevent an infection from wild yeast is to use yeast from a reputable cellar. On the other hand, eliminating the bacteria is within your control because you can do sanitization. So sanitization comes up again and again. Sanitize, sanitize, sanitize. All right. We talked about the pellicle, although here's a picture of it.
Temperature, so I'm going to start the timer for the steep.
Which maybe I can show.
Bring the fire down a little bit so this is
Steal this. So now you're looking at a picture of a picture.
A picture of a picture.
Well, that's exactly what it is. A picture of a picture. And that is what a pellicle looks like. Kind of a waxy, chalky film on top of your beer. You want to see?
Ugh, yeah, that looks doesn't look very appetizing, does it?
I would be tempted to pour.
This would have been a good thing with that feature on OBS, man.
Yes.
Where you can like fade the.
We need to take some time to learn how to do that.
We wouldn't have to hold it up to the camera; we just fade it in. You guys, gals, whatever, could see exactly what.
Yeah, we can just sign it up there. All right, another sign. So, anyways, there you go. That's a pellicle. We've discussed the pellicle. Off flavors in beer. Another sign of an infected batch of flavors and smells. Common bacterium is Acetobacter. Acetobacter. So, Acetobacter, like its name suggests, produces acetic acid, which, if you didn't know, acetic acid is in effect vinegar. Or more correctly, vinegar is in effect acetic acid.
Acetic acid, okay.
Right. So acetic acid, which is what gives vinegar its sour taste. The bacteria infection occurs when you didn't sanitize and when the beer is exposed to oxygen. Fairly easy to prevent this one. All you gotta do is sanitize and make sure your fermentation vessel is properly sealed. So water locks or just capping it. Although you don't want to just cap it if you have yeast, because then you can have water.
Yeah, you gotta
have somewhere to let that pressure out. If your beer is here's another one that he was talking about, vigorous fermentation. If your beer is actively fermenting for a longer than expected time, you may have what is known as a gusher. This infection is the result of infected yeast or bacteria in the beer. It causes a fermentation process that continues until all of the sugars, carbohydrates, but carbohydrates are the sugars, all of the sugars are consumed. So that would be an extremely well attenuated beer.
Right.
The problem is what you end up with is a flavorless beer with very little or no body. So, like water, but without
like Coors Light.
Hey, shut up, dude. I like Coors Light.
That's right. We all need training beer every now and then. So.
Shut up, dude.
Speaking of beers, are you ready for a refill? Or are you still working on that one?
Well, I'm reading more than drinking, so maybe you should say something.
You're reading. So I'm drinking.
So now you talk, and I will drink. Never mind. No.
Finish what you're talking.
Okay.
I'll get this couple on deck ready.
So, anyways, the point being that with vigorous fermentation, basically the fermentation process goes on for much longer than intended. It's because of the wild yeast and the bacteria. It eats up all the sugars, and your beer just takes all the life out of your beer. And you basically, really, I mean, that's what you're going to end up with. Dark water, with probably a lot of alcohol in it.
Right.
So, wouldn't be that great.
Here you go. You're ready for it.
And also,
Off camera for a minute.
That's one of the infections that if you don't have things capped right, it'll blow up your carboy or your bottles or something like that. All right. Formation of mold. So it says sometimes it's difficult to determine if there's mold or if it's just hops, yeast, or a pellicle. One of the ways to know if it's mold is because mold is green and fuzzy. None of the other ones are fuzzy. Normal yeast or pellicle will look powdery or chalky. Mold in beer is typically caused by the addition of fruit or wood. Like one of the very first beers we made had hickory chips added into the fermenter at like 5 or 6 days and then left to sit there. So the addition from fruit or wood that has not been properly sanitized. Molds can produce toxins that lead to sickness. Okay, so here's something. Because Steve was just saying moments ago that beer does not support organisms that will make you physically ill. But this guy is. I will say this, that I have heard Steve's statement come out of many people's mouths. So this guy, this is the guy that says molds can make you sick. But I've heard many times, still off camera. Anyways, I've heard many times that it doesn't make you sick. I wouldn't know. I've never drank a moldy beer. We haven't had that problem because we're really careful with our sanitation processes. So there you go. So where was I? Molds can produce toxins that lead to sickness. Some homebrewers will choose to use the beer if it has mold and don't rack any of the mold. However, it may be unsafe, so it's up to you what you do with your beer. Yeah, my wife is definitely in the dump it all category. All right. Now, what to do with an infected batch? There are 3 routes you can take once you have an infected beer. You can dump it, you can taste it and see if it tastes bad, or that's pretty much it. That's 3. That's 1, 2. You can dump it, or you could taste it. Let's see. Okay, you could dump it. The next option is to rack the beer under the pellicle. If the beer doesn't taste bad, you should bottle it.
That's pretty much what that other article said. I mean,
right. The final option is to wait it out. Oh, okay, so that's what this guy's talking about. So what he's saying is that you notice this infection like early on in the fermentation process. Thank you. Of course, I don't know. So if you're like us, we tend to, like, at home, I've got some old beat up sweatshirts that we don't wear them anymore because the arms are all floppy and they're uncomfortable.
Right.
And so those are our carboy covers to keep the light out of the thing. And so the beer's just sitting in the hallway with a sweatshirt on it. And I gotta admit, I don't look at the beer very much. I walk by and I look at the water lock to see if it's bubbling.
Yeah, same here.
That's about it.
I'll wrap mine in old sweatshirt or a towel, or even a coat or something, and I have it.
Just something to keep the sunlight
Just keep
out.
the direct. I have it in a spot exactly in the room where it just keeps the direct sunlight off of it. So that's the main thing. Some people put their. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Some people put their carboys in a closet, where it's pitch black, But to each their own. It's the direct sunlight that's going to hurt it, not daylight, in the room.
But we still wrap it up so it doesn't get exposed to the light.
Exactly.
But the big point, the main point I'm making though, is that I don't look at the actual wort or the beer that's from it. I just look at the water lock.
Yeah, same here. I look at the water lock. I mean, I can't say never ever. I don't look at the wort. Sometimes I'll lift it up and just take a peek at it just to see if it's either roiling or not. But more often than not, I do the same thing Jamie does. I just I'll note the water lock and that's about it.
Well, running so hard, man.
Yeah.
We were discussing things the other day, like original gravity and final gravity and hydrometers and things like that, and why you would be really interested. What was the other thing? There was one other thing.
Oh.
AAUs.
Oh, yeah. When I was reading a recipe in a magazine, there was a number and then an AAU next to types of hops we were looking at, and we didn't know what AAU was.
I don't know.
And,
I didn't look that up on this one.
Yeah, something alpha acids.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes, something alpha acid unit.
Definitely a chemistry thing, for a layman out there like me.
But the big thing is what we were really thinking of. What we're thinking was that what were we thinking? A lot of that stuff is for folks that really want consistency with their beer. They want to be able to do it exactly the same every time. And neither Steve nor I are really into that.
We just want to make beer, have fun when we're making it, talk to you all, and drink it.
Yes, and we love our beer.
Which doesn't mean we don't take it seriously, but there are some home brewers that are very serious about it, and hey, more power to them.
True.
And they
almost religious.
They document everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. They document everything, especially if you're at a level where you're trying to create your own recipes, and you're literally experimenting with different grains and malts. You need to write all that down. You need to track those temperatures and your gravities and all that, or you're never. I shouldn't say never, but you would have a very difficult time repeating that beer. Let's say you found that perfect ratio of everything that you really like, and you didn't document it, and you try to make it again, it may not come out anything like what you originally had planned. But a lot of those numbers that he was talking about, they're very important to those brewers at that level, which, we're not. We brew for fun. We're not trying to make money. We're not trying to, create recipes or sell recipes or anything. Maybe, who knows, down the road that could happen. But right now, we're just in it for the buzz. If you think about it.
Next 2 weeks. The next broadcast.
True. We are going to experiment a little bit. We're going to do 2 beers side by side, exact same recipes. However, one of them, we're going to alter the hop schedule a little bit, and then we're going to take some notes on it, and then we're going to, brew them at the same time, ferment them together, and all that stuff, and then and carbonate them together, and then we're going to taste them, obviously, and see if we can note a difference, and then go from there. So we're gonna kind of delve into the experimentation and chemistry world, but not to the point where we're too worried about some of those. We're overly worried about some of those numbers and gravities.
So we're making 10 gallons of beer in 2 weeks. That's great.
This lager is really light.
That's what you said.
It's light on the palate too. I'd show it to you, but my glass is so full of design. But anyway, no.
Hold on, I'm gonna.
Yeah, no. This is a good change up from. Hey, you got a good glass for it. Good change up from the usual dark beers we drink.
Well, that was your suggestion. Hey,
I'm an IPA person. I love IPAs, but sometimes I like to change it up a little bit.
Stouts, porters, anything dark. Dark and heavy beers. Right. That's what I like.
I enjoy a good porter and stout as well, especially a Russian Imperial stout.
And I like IPAs also. But as far as
excuse me. There you go. Yeah. See, it looks almost like a no joke. It looks like a Coors Light kind of, but it's supposed to be. It's a
or maybe a Bud Light.
Sacrilegious.
Yeah. Are we allowed to say Bud Light? Is Bud Light going to sue us now?
I don't think so.
I don't think they even know we exist.
Fair use thing. You're not trying to sell Bud Light, so I don't see why.
I'm not trying to sell anything else either. Using Bud Light's name.
Exactly.
That's where they really get upset.
So yeah, they'd have no reason to send us a cease and desist letters because you said Bud Light on the stream. He must think it's terrible.
No.
I just the wrong pipe.
Wrong tube. Went down the wrong tube.
Wrong tube. Not bad. It's from Aslan Brew, excuse me. Aslan Brewing Company, and they are out of Bellingham, Washington. They're just
really?
Yeah, they're not too far from here. So yeah.
Cool.
And here's the can, just a basic silver can, kind of generic. Sorry, there we go.
And down too low and up.
Yeah, I know.
So hard to monitor.
Well, that delay just kills it.
We need
man.
a big screen
There you
TV.
go.
Hey, I bet your TV would hook up to this. We should totally move your TV in here.
Sure.
I'm telling you, dude, totally worth it. I mean, what are you gonna do? Just
Which TV? The one in the living room or the one in the office?
the one in the living room. That one in the office is yours, dude.
They're all mine. What are you talking about?
I know, but
All right. So we're still within our temperature range. We're on the high end of it though, but I reduced the heat so we don't, hopefully keep it below the 160 degrees.
all right. Let's see what else we got here. Going on to the next site. This is a question. So we're still talking about infected beer. Now this guy, is this the guy that had something interesting?
So I do want to talk a little bit about infected beer.
Go ahead.
To my knowledge, we've never made an infected batch. And if we did, we couldn't tell it's infected. But I believe I've had an infected beer though that I bought off the shelf. I don't want to name the brewery because I don't know if we can get in trouble for that. But I bought a commercial grade microbrew that was a pale ale, and just bought a 6-pack, and was hanging out with friends drinking my beer, and it didn't taste right. Pale ales have a pretty distinctive taste. You know a pale ale when you drink one if you're a pale ale type person, and this just did not taste good at all. I can't describe what it tasted like because it's something I'd never tasted before, but it did not taste like a beer. It did not taste anything like a beer.
Maybe a wet blanket.
Maybe it was a wet blanket. I don't know.
Barnyard.
But I think I've experienced an infected batch from a microbrew that actually distributes their beer.
Wait, your daughter likes horses, right?
Wow, that was way off. Yes.
She's come off a couple, hasn't she?
She has.
I bet she knows what a barnyard tastes like.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. We should ask her later.
Well,
anyways, continue. I'm sorry.
Wow, that seems so random. I'm like talking about infected beer and horses. All of a sudden, it's like what? But then I see I see it now.
It's because you're smart. You drink beer, you know things.
So to the best of my knowledge and experience, I think I've tasted infected beer, but I've never made one that I know of. So we'll see. And that beer was awful. I mean, I couldn't drink it anymore. I had to drain pour all those beers. I was mad because I had to waste it. I mean, I don't know if you can take beer back to the store, honestly. You know, I don't know if you can do that.
I did once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Beck's Coors Light, which I'm not worried about it because anytime you make things at that level,
Right.
you're gonna have lemons. You know, anytime you mass produce things.
Right.
So actually, I don't think whoever they were, I don't think they could come back actually because it's just a fact. It's like, hey, one of your batches of beer was bad, but yeah, me and Wendy, it happened to be Coors Light, right? Open it up, it didn't hiss, it didn't do.
Oh, it was all flat.
Huh?
Huh?
I was like, huh, that's weird. It was more than flat. Took a drink, it was water.
Oh, geez.
But a case of water.
Water, huh?
And let me tell you, Coors Light, Taste of the Rockies, Rocky Mountain water apparently tastes like crap.
How did that happen?
I don't
Weird.
know, but it was not beer. It was straight water.
Somebody had one job.
One job.
Put the beer in the can, and apparently they didn't do their job.
Yeah. So yeah, we took it back.
Wow, that's crazy, man. I never would have.
Took it back. Talked to the manager. Said this is 24 bottles of water. If I'm gonna buy water, I want to pay water prices, and it needs to taste good. This does not.
Now I've had that happen with sodas before. You know, like Coca-Cola or something.
Where it was just water.
Yeah, it was like filter water, and they're like the syrup didn't make it in.
Yeah.
I've had that happen before.
Well, and the thing is like, right now I work down, I sell auto parts.
Right.
Anytime you produce things on a mass scale, you're gonna have lemons in there, right? The machine is not gonna do what it was supposed to do.
Oh, sure.
That's just
production, man.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Even if you produce things on a minor scale, you're gonna make mistakes. It's just generally when you're doing things on a minor scale, the mistakes are smaller and you correct them because you catch them.
Right.
Right. So, yeah.
I mean, that could have been something as just dumb as a sensor went out in the bottling system or whatever, the canning system, and it didn't know it wasn't putting beer in there,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how the bottling works in those places.
I don't either.
That's what we're talking about. Is it like pre-carbonated, put into the bottles and capped super fast, or?
Yeah, I don't know how they do that commercially.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just.
Of course, we have the internet at our fingertips here. If we're really that curious, we'll look it up. But
yes, yeah. we do this to ourselves all the time. It's like,
what that's like? We never look it up.
We've got the power, all the intelligence of humanity on our hips, man. It's just like, nah.
We'll just talk about it and speculate.
We'll just talk about it. We'll speculate.
Now, I did get to visit a Pepsi plant when I was a kid. I was like, I don't know, I was probably in 6th grade. And so it was when I was in Massachusetts and got to see the canning process and got some free Pepsis. It's cool.
I went through.
It was in the 80s.
I went through some. I went down to. I found myself at SeaWorld once, alone. Which SeaWorld is not a great place to go if you're alone.
Yeah, I mean, I went to one when I was like 6 years old in California, but I have not been to one since.
Alone?
No. I was with my family.
I'm like impressed.
So did you just decide one day you're gonna go hang out at SeaWorld? How'd that?
Nah, I was in No, I was in San Diego, and I had I was at a Navy school, and I had nobody around. I was like, I'm in San Diego. I'll go to SeaWorld. Okay. So I did, and it was cool, right? And they had all the stuff, but one of them was the Budweiser Brew School, which was not that amazing. Because it was actually just like this guy talking. We didn't actually get to see any equipment because it wasn't a bottling plant.
A lecture.
Yeah. Then we got to drink beer, which was nice.
So we're at 10 minutes remaining on the steep, just so you know.
Okay, sounds good.
We're right now we're at 158 and holding. So
in any case, this is Mr. Beer. All right, all fermentations. So the general rule that's kind of come out time and time again with all these sites get rid of that, get rid of that, is basically an infection might not be a bad thing.
Right.
So it's one of those things that's like, can you salvage it? Which is interesting because I was always of the mind that once you get infected, you're done. Game over, don't even try.
That's what I used to think as well.
But as we're reading through this, and part of it's because, you have to be open to different beers, right? And that's the thing, is the whole kind of sour beers. And we're going to talk about bitter beers in an upcoming broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because we got the newsletter from our brew supply store that we use, and they had this whole article on bitter beers. And so, we're going to have to go find a bitter beer.
Right.
I bet our specialty beer place couldn't find us one.
Probably.
Yeah, so we'll drop down there, we'll get some bitter beers, we'll taste them, and then we're going to talk about bitter beers. You think so?
Might be bitter.
You think bitter beers are bitter?
Could be.
Do they have better bitter beers?
Better bitter? Who knows?
Better bitter beers. There's worse bitter beers, there's got to be better bitter beers. And then sours. And then there's sours. Are sours better than bitters?
Sours and saisons are related, I believe.
Are they?
They're
Well, I think saison that's the farmer's beer. We'll look it up here in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the one they call the farmer's beer or the farmhouse beer. Basically, it's, for lack of a better term, it's like a lowbrow beer.
Right.
Right. Of course, this comes back from the 1600s with the whole Gebot.
Oh.
The German purity laws.
I don't remember what it's called.
And all that fun stuff, but
it's a long name with many consonants. So
I can look it up.
Yeah, look it up.
I will look that
I
one.
think the year is like 1512 or something, isn't it? There's something of 1512 or something like that.
Yeah. Hold on just a second. German.
I don't know. Maybe we have some
Sure.
German viewers that can help us with that.
They might. Reinheitsgebot. There we go. Thank you, Wikipedia. The Reinheitsgebot, German pronunciation. I never did learn to read the phonetic alphabet or the.
Let me see. I took German in high school. Maybe I can figure it out.
Well, I got that much right.
Oh, jeez.
One I don't know. It's the little one in the blue. They call that. Oh, what do they call it? It's a singing thing. There's a standardized way.
1516. I was close.
You were very close. 1516. But there's in singing, they have. It's not the phonetic. I'm gonna have to look it up. Well, that'll be later. But basically, what it is it's a set of phonemes. Right, there's symbols that represent sounds.
Sure.
Right, and so for example, let's talk about Spanish. In English, the double L is pronounced ol.
Right.
Right. In Argentina, it's pronounced j.
Oh.
So, the Spanish word for horse is caballo, 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 right? Caballo. All right. But that's in Central America. In South America, it's caballo.
Caballo, huh?
Mm-hmm. And then the Y is pronounced different in Argentina than it's pronounced in Colombia, then it's pronounced in Honduras, then it's pronounced in Spain, et cetera, right? So you have all these letters that are the same letter. In Spanish, J is jota, right? It's an H sound. H is silent, et cetera, et cetera. So you have all these letters, right? And this alphabet, this singing alphabet, which I can't remember what it's called, it has this, but basically it's a whole bunch of symbols that represent sounds, and it is standardized across the world, at least the industrialized, regular world. And so a singer can see a German word, but then these symbols will be under the German word, and they're like, okay, that sounds like that, and they can reproduce the sound.
Gotcha. Even if they don't know the language, they can reproduce the sound.
Right, they can reproduce the sound. Right. Exactly, and that's the whole idea. Anyways.
So I'm going to go in and grab the malts, because we're at 5 minutes.
Yeah, go do that, man. And I'm going to talk about
the hot pellets ready, or at least the first one.
All right. I guess I'm talking about Reinheitsgebot. That's not what I meant to talk about. at all.
Oh, you're just using it as a reference. You just kind of,
Where was I going with that?
I kind of don't remember anymore, honestly, but I know you were like, oh yeah, and you were just kind of using it as a reference for what.
Oh, we're talking about saisons.
Saison.
Right. And so saison is a farmhouse beer, but basically, so you had your commercial brewers in Germany that were operating under the purity laws, and he just left. He is out of the studio, which is also his garage. Goodbye.
I thought you were talking to the camera.
Well, I'm kind of talking to. Now I'm talking to no one. All right. So, anyways, what's going on here? Let's see. The Reinheitsgebot, literally purity order in English, is a series of regulations limiting the ingredients in beer in Germany and the states of the former Holy Roman Empire. The best-known version of the law was adopted in Bavaria in 1516, but similar regulations predate the Bavarian order, and modern regulations also significantly differ from the 1516 version. The 1516 Bavarian law, most influential predecessor of the modern Reinheitsgebot, was a law first adapted in the Duchy of Munich in 1487. After Bavaria was reunited, the Munich law was adopted across the entirety of Bavaria on 23 April 1516. As Germany unified, Bavaria pushed for adoption of this law on a national basis. According to the Bavarian law, the only ingredients that could be used were water, barley, and hops. The text does not mention yeast as an ingredient, although yeast was at the time knowingly used in the brewing process. It's likely that brewers of the time preferred to see yeast as a fixture of the brewing process. Yeast produced in one batch was commonly transferred to a subsequent batch, thus giving yeast a more permanent character in the brewing process. A full understanding of the chemical basis of yeast, the fermentation process, did not come until much later. So basically, water, barley, hops. No wheat, no corn, no rice, no cherries, no apples, no oak chips, etc., etc. So that's the Reinheitsgebot. And so we can look up saisons in a minute here. In fact, we should do that. S-A-I-Z-O-N.
So did our viewers get educated on the purity order?
Yeah, well, the brief version.
All right, 2 minutes. I'm gonna get these open and ready.
Right there. Let's just go with the Spruce Eats. Bison Brew. Let's go Renegade Brewing. Ooh, Songbird Saison.
I need a little.
Yeah, because I don't want to get burned. No. Farmhouse Ale. Wait. Nope. Wrong button! There's got to be something here. And this is why we looked these things up earlier, so that we don't spend our time surfing the internet. But let's just grab this first one. All right, this looks like the Spruce Eats, so I'm thinking this is a restaurant. Anyways, Saison is an ale type of beer that originated in southern Belgium. Also called farmhouse ale, it's a rustic beer that, unlike other styles, is open to the brewer's interpretation. Saisons often use wild top fermenting yeast and a variety of local ingredients, including various grains. Refreshing and moderate in alcohol, these brews can range from light to dark, taste malty or hoppy, and are often noted for fruity or spicy characteristics, as well as low bitterness. Artisanal breweries in Belgium continue to specialize in Saison, and it's a popular style among American craft brewers. So actually, I guess Saisons are another wild yeast beer.
Oh, okay.
You know, in the open top vats that allow the wild yeast. And of course, because the French love to do this, no offense, Fred Nemo, if you happen to be watching this, but they seem to, it's like, champagne is not champagne unless it's made in the Champagne region.
Right.
And Saisons are not Saisons unless they're made in the Saison region.
Same with Scotch. Scotch is the same way.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm taking it. Does it taste like Scotch? It's Scotch.
All right, we can probably pull that off the Burr.
Okay. Let us add the malts.
We'll drain our muslin sack. We're not going to squeeze it though.
We still don't know why we don't do that. We're just guessing it's for the same reason you don't squeeze a tea bag.
Yeah, I think it just adds more than what's supposed to be in there. I don't know if it matters or not, honestly. And then these
There has
grains.
an exclamation point after it in the directions.
Yeah. Don't squeeze it.
That's right. I mean,
We'll look it up. Why do you not squeeze a sack? Tea bag. Muslin sack. Muslin sack, you know.
so much for the family-oriented portion of this show. That was pretty 14-year-old-ish of me anyway, so I could have just flowed with that, but it was more fun to give you a strange look.
All right. That's fine. These grains will be used again. They're going to feed some chickens.
Chickens!
Can I get this thing out now?
I gotta admit, my chickens really do like these.
I bet. Every 2 weeks, they're like, yes! Okay, you need to be quiet, phone.
Stop.
Thank you. Oh, come on. Good night.
I think a very sharp knife needs to just be part of our arsenal
Agreed.
anymore. So you
Agreed.
can just slice that off there.
All right.
All right.
Take that. Oh. They disgust me. Goop on me. All right.
Wow, that's kind of dark. What is this again? Oh, it's a red one.
Red egg. I'll pour. And we took it out the fire so we don't take a chance of burning the malts when they get down into the the wort here.
Yeah, because they won't dissolve instantly, obviously. So they just...
And I've done that. I've actually caked the bottom of my brew kettle before.
Did you? Have you really? That must have been pretty nasty.
It took some scrub. It took some good arm, elbow grease. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we're. All right.
I'm just gonna let you do it. Okay, I think that works better.
Right. Something I read to make these malt extracts a little more, viscous is
Or less viscous?
or less viscous, excuse me, is put them in hot water.
Yeah, well, that'd work. The warmer you get them, that'd probably be good right there.
Put them in hot water so that pour is a lot easier.
Still cross-threaded. Still cross-threaded. Still cross-threaded.
Get on my nerves there.
I would shake that a bit and let it sit while we do the other one.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I lost my pocket knife too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's kind of bummed. You gotta buy a new one.
That was your airplane knife, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Well,
Either at work or just on a house somewhere.
it's around the house or it's in the van or in the Suburban. I don't know. It's not at work. I know it's not at work. You want to do that? My hands aren't sticky or wet or nothing.
Here we go.
You get it?
Yeah. Just had to find that one little sweet spot. All right, here we go. inside, I thought.
I should do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It sure smells good, man.
Yeah, it does. Agreed. One more. While I'm shaking these, go ahead and put it on the fire.
All right, yeah.
We'll let it start warming up.
So that's all we have is liquid, right?
Hey, kiddo.
I got my foot. Oh, we'll be back. We're gonna go pick up two kids. One or two. We're gonna go to the farm. Okay, we gotta go make sure. We're
Just gonna randomly pick up children somewhere in town.
Yeah.
All right, have fun.
Check out from that.
Try not to get arrested.
I'm innocent. They want us back.
Make sure they're clean children. No dirty children.
There's only one clean child. We'll go the rest of it back. You ready?
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go to the barn.
Okay.
I'll be back later.
I'm gonna go injure myself some more.
I'll go ahead.
Have fun.
Inside. Close inside.
Fausto! Hey, man, how are you doing? Thank you very much for tuning in, man. My friend Fausto from New York City. The New York City, the city of cities.
I would go
I think that is enough stirring. Making a red ale, man. Okay. From this, so check it out, man. My friend Fausto from New York City. I don't know if he's still watching because there's that lag thing, but he commented,
Oh, sweet.
said, hell yeah.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
Thanks for the comment, Fausto.
yeah. Fausto is cool. Fausto is good people, man. And I'm alone again. So, I don't know how much you've been saying, but we're up to the boil portion. We steeped all our grains and made basically grain tea, and we added our malt extracts, and now we're getting it. We're gonna get it boiling, and then we're gonna add our hops. So this method of monitoring just did not work.
Oh, it didn't? Okay.
Yeah, because the comments, the whole idea of monitoring like this is to be able to see comments.
Right.
And oh wait, there we go.
So we're not aiming for a full-on boil like you would boil water on the on the stove top. We want a nice rolling boil. And at the moment there's a name for it, that first moment the wort is warm enough or hot enough that it starts to boil, that's when we're going to pitch our first yeast, I almost said yeast, our first hop packet, which are Oh, this is labeled Red Tide Irish Red, but we know that. I think this was Fuggles.
Goldings and Fuggles.
Goldings and Fuggles. I think Goldings is the first one.
Number 1 is Goldings. Number 2 is Fuggles.
I'll just get this thing ready.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a delay there is here. But like, I see Fausto's comment there. I see your daughter's comment there.
Oh, really? She said something.
Yeah, she said, bye-bye, have fun.
Oh, okay.
But I don't see Fausto's comment.
Uh-oh. That's right, though. Eventually it'll catch up.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Kind of an emery, at least the board is, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
The hops will affect it a little bit, too.
Yeah, but they don't do too much for the coloration. Generally, that's
flavor. That looks pretty good.
How does it smell? I thought it smelled pretty good.
I think it smells good.
Hot?
Yeah, it's not as bad as it was earlier. The flames coming on the side, so.
Oh, did I turn it up a little too much?
No, I actually turned it up a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
Just that was warm. This pot is a little bit too small for this burner, technically, if you think about it.
Yeah, I guess so, but it works.
But I think this thing was probably intended to be like a turkey fryer heat source.
Oh, definitely was intended to be a turkey fryer.
But those pots tend to be a little bit wider in diameter and taller as well, obviously to hold the whole turkey, I don't know the full volume of this brew kettle, but I think it's 4 gallons.
Well, there's 16, that mark right there. I'm going to assume that's quarts.
Yeah, probably.
So that would be 4 gallons.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I wouldn't want to go above that. I mean, I don't think they express volumes by like absolute total capacity, because that would.
No, I guess,
make much sense.
A friend of mine, he was a very serious brewer. He was the kind of guy that knew and understood and used all those numbers, gravities and AUs. He was conscious of all that stuff in his brewing process, but he designed his own recipes. But anyway, for a while he was brewing huge batches. He had like a 30-gallon boiling kettle. It was huge, man. Like I could get inside this thing.
Well, yeah, 30 gallons is big. I mean, you think about a 55-gallon barrel.
Right. Yeah, it was. He had it all.
Half of one of those.
He had it set up in his garage, but it was on this rollaway structure he built in his garage, and so he had everything on this, so he could move it around the garage, and whenever he wasn't brewing or get out of the way,
So when we set up the brew studio, right, I want to have that whole wall of my basement. It'll be like the fermenter and the boiler and things exactly like that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, speaking of brew studios, even though this isn't really a studio, one of the previous broadcasts I talked to you about how I was waiting on a freezer. I got it finally. My chest freezer arrived. My friend gave it to me. I mentioned this before. I can't remember it.
Doesn't matter. Mention it again.
That's fine. Anyway, it's set up. I got it cleaned up, and I have a keg in there and a regulator and a serving tap. And we've been using it now. It's good to go. Ultimately, the plan will be to have up to 3 kegs on tap with a nice manifold system and a beer distribution system. But that's coming down the road, though. Baby steps, man. Baby steps, right?
Well, yeah, that's it. One step at a time.
I can show it to you, I would, but camera's kind of stationary. I can't really. It's connected by a wire to the computer, so I can't really move it over there to it. So
at a certain point, we're gonna buy more cameras.
Right.
It'll be great. They'll add green screen, make it like we're brewing in space.
Wow. Yeah.
It'll be totally awesome. Maybe not. That's just kind of ridiculous, to be honest.
It's a funny idea, but I don't think you would.
It is a funny idea. Oh man, you know what would be
fun to joke about?
We need to do one time when we do beer food pairings.
Oh, right. Kind of talk about pairings, yeah.
And then actually eat the pairings, and then tell everybody that how amazing it is.
I know some restaurants attempt to do that. I've noticed some of the places I've gone to, not here in our town, but some of the other outlying cities that are larger.
Uh-huh.
I noticed will have suggested beers for certain meals,
Well, it happens more with wine than it does with beer,
Right.
to be honest. Wine is...
I like that color, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Seems to be more important in the wine world. have the proper wine with whatever type of food you're eating, especially with meat, I believe. I think they tend to, you know, if you have like, the more red the meat, the more red the wine or something like that, you know.
Is that a general rule?
Things like poultry and fish, you'd have white wines or maybe, what they call blushes, you know. Or with pork, a blush, you know. Blush is like a,
pink wine?
halfway between, you know, a red and a white, you know.
So yeah, pink wine.
I'm not a wine person. I mean, I dabble a little bit in the wine world, but I don't know all the
You dabble more than me.
all those social parts of it. Yeah, I like with beer and wine. When I drink wine, if it tastes good, I don't care what I'm pairing it with, as long as it tastes good. You know, if I'm drinking red wine with chicken, oh well. Does it taste good? Yes. You know, it's all that matters.
See my phone?
I do not know what to do.
Yeah, I lost my phone.
Is that it right there?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Found you.
Found my phone. Nice.
Let's get a little warm on the knee.
Yeah, you might not want to burn your knee.
Right. All right, so I have the timer reset for 60 minutes. As soon as we get that boiling point, we'll hit the button. We'll pitch our first hot packet, and we'll start the countdown for 60 minutes. And then at 5 minutes remaining, we'll add the second and last hot packet. Oh yeah, one thing I was when I was reading in my book, my brewing book, the author.
You mean like paper?
Yeah, like a dead tree. Yeah. Old school.
Yeah.
Old. It's a book I've had for 12 years now.
They have replacements for those.
Yes, I know.
You don't
But,
need.
What was interesting was
Whole libraries. Just look at that. 50,000 pounds of books right there.
yes, that came in handy when I was deployed on board a ship. So
Oh heck yeah! I bet it
I had a
really
lot of books on.
cheese.
It wasn't an iPad. It was an Android style.
Yeah, it was still. You know what? All right,
Still, it worked. It did the job when I
You
was
know,
deployed.
finish your story, and then we can talk about it.
So what he does when he pours his wort into his carboy, he strains it.
Is this back up?
In the book?
Oh, in the book.
What was his name? Papazan? Okay. Sorry if I'm screwing your name up there. Charlie Papazan, something like that.
Oh,
You said his name earlier because he was referenced.
yeah.
The Relax, Have a Homebrew. You got to kind of coin that term.
You're gonna have to look it up because
It doesn't matter. The book, he uses strainers in his instructions for brewing to strain out.
He's kind of the father of the homebrew revolution.
He was. I guess he's kind of credited with really helping it explode in the United States in the late 70s, early 80s. You know.
Yeah, sure.
He's written a few books, you know, on the whole topic. Anyway, his process for like the beginning brewer is to strain that stuff as you're pouring it into your carboy. I thought that was kind of interesting, but I'm not really worried about doing that, you know.
Cool. Yeah. Well, it's. I don't know. We just rack.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's because we use a large carboy, a 6.5 gallon carboy for primary fermentation. So there's a lot of headroom in it. His process was using, like for the first couple of days, a 5 gallon carboy or even a bucket, and just running a tube into like a bucket, you know, another bucket of water for the first couple of days, and then moving it over to a glass carboy for the finish of its carbonation, finish up its fermentation. I guess what he was doing is removing as much as possible anything that might create bacteria or affect it in some way, you know. But because we go right to a 6.5 gallon carboy, we don't really need to do those extra steps. You know, we're fine. And then we rack it as well. We always rack our beer.
Right. So. Well, I gotta admit, you know what? I'm down with the racking.
I like the racking because it definitely pays off, man. Because those beers are so clear, you know.
That IPA we made, it was like a full growler full of sediment.
Yeah, that was
went
up through the auto siphon. It sucked it all in. It's like, oh, wait, pull it up.
Yeah, that was not good. That was not good. All right, what was I going? So this one here. We're still talking about infected beers, and excuse me. So we move down. Lambics, Flanders, and Berliner Weisses are all infected. Maybe you just invented new this forum, but there's a certain thing here. Right. This was a comment I found interesting. It's like people drink Belgian beers and they use words like barnyard and horse blanket like they are good things. People intentionally brew sour beers. People intentionally add Brett to their beers, which Brett is an abbreviation of a longer name of a yeast, which we'll look at in a minute here, that tends to infect beers. People generally don't like it if they're not aiming for that.
Right. It needs to be intentional.
But it says people intentionally add it to their beers. That's funny. There is no sanity anymore. Anyhow, the long and the short is, if your beer tastes good to you, drink it.
Drink it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was only that one article that talked about mold being toxic. Which, yeah, black mold on your walls is toxic. That's pretty well documented. But everybody, with the exception of that guy, seems to say beer does not support toxic organisms.
Yeah, it's the brewer's book as well. He mentions that.
Right. So, hey, let's talk about Brettanomyces. Now, if we were a proper podcast, you would say, what is Brettanomyces?
What is Brettanomyces? I'm not sure I said it right.
I don't think you said it right either. I'm not sure I said it. Well, it's Brettanomyces. Brettanomyces. Brettanomyces?
I don't know.
Brettanomyces. Nope, not this one. But it doesn't matter. It's a non-spore-forming genus of yeast in the family Saccharomycetaceae. Wow, that's a long word.
Insert scientific name here.
I don't really think the Latins used words this long. It's crazy. All right. Anyways, commonly referred to as Brett. All right. The genus name is Decara, used interchangeably with Brettanomyces. It describes the teleomorph or spore-forming form of the yeast. Cellular morphology of the yeast can vary from ovoid to long sausage-shaped shells. It's acidogenic, and when grown on glucose-rich media under aerobic conditions, produces large amounts of acetic acid. Long story short, it's going to make your beer taste like vinegar. Or it's going to make it sour, more sour.
Oh, that happens with wine too. When they don't do it right, it turns into vinegar.
Yeah, and especially from what I've heard, the old wines will do that. I tried to. So my mom drinks wine, and she comes out to visit, and she buys wine. And if she doesn't finish her wine, it stays in the cupboard because we don't drink wine in our house at all. And so. Yeah, and then I try and feed her the wine that she bought 6 months ago. She's like, no. You can pour that down the sink.
Yeah, in my experience, like, maybe I'm just being too cautious, but anything over a week, I don't tend to drink. If it's wine, like, put back in the refrigerator or something,
Oh, I think that's a little overly cautious, yeah, but.
Maybe 2 weeks,
Yeah. So anyways, Brett is important to both brewing and wine industries because of the sensory compounds it produces. In the wild, it typically tends to live on the skins of fruit, which is why you can get a Brett infection if you're going for a fruit ale or something, and you add the fruit to the ale after.
Okay.
So, 1889, Seifert of the Kalinken Brewery in St. Petersburg was the first to isolate a torula from English beer, which produced the typical English taste in lager beer. In 1899, J.W. Tullow at Guinness described two types of secondary yeast in an Irish stout. However, Enhelte Clausen at the Carlsberg Brewery.
Boiling.
Oh, are we? All right.
Turn down the heat a little bit. All right, we got it now.
Oh, this is nice. Brettanomyces comes from the Greek term British fungus. Whoa. Yeah, man. We need to let me get this stirring. We may have boiled over a few batches of beer.
That's why I turned the heat down. So
yeah. And that is foaming. Wow. I think you can just keep adding it slowly like that.
Yeah, I put the heat down before.
I think you can safely just throw it in now. It's just that initial reaction.
Right. All right. All right, hot pellet, hot pat one in.
All right, 55 minutes.
And we have a nice, look at that nice roller, man.
That is good.
That's like exactly what we were trying to achieve. Oh yeah, it smells good.
I can smell it from here. I don't even have to do the thing. So that's funny. Where was it? I was just reading it. It's amusing. The term Brettanomyces comes from the Greek for British fungus.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was funny. Maybe it wasn't that funny. I thought it
Oh,
was
it's amusing.
All right, origins in the winery. Brettanomyces is most associated with barrel-aged red wines, which is probably why red wines become vinegary if you let them age, especially after you open them.
Are you ready for a beer?
I am ready for a beer.
Right. What shall we have?
Amber.
With an amber?
I gotta admit, I'm not terribly impressed. I mean, I gotta tell you, that lager, yep, it's a classic lager. There ain't nothing interesting. It's definitely,
It's not
I mean,
terrible.
no, it's not terrible, but it's just,
It's not blowing your shirt up.
well, it's just not very interesting. It's, boy, howdy, is it like, it's a lawnmower beer, and if I'm gonna buy a lawnmower beer, I'd wanna buy a real lawnmower beer, like Coors Light at $4 a six-pack instead of $10 a six-pack,
Right.
you know? I mean, seriously, that's the only reason, is like,
Yeah, it's one of the, I'm not sure what word you use.
drawbacks, risks,
Drawbacks.
hazards.
Well, no, just, I guess a drawback to enjoying the finer beers. They tend to be much more expensive. You know, it's crazy. I'll go to the supermarket and there'll be a six pack of something for like $14. It's just,
Yeah, that's
it better be good, you know. I remember buying 12 packs for $14 or less. You know what I mean?
I remember buying cases for $14. Did you forget to open?
I forgot to open
your
mine. Open yours.
Well, thank you very much. That was very
Well,
nice.
yeah,
of you.
when I was drinking the less than classy beer, I think the cheapest I would spend was $9.99 for a 24 pack of natural light.
That's not even beer, right?
No, I don't know what it was.
I mean, that's just like slightly fizzy water.
But when you're a young airman in third class in the Navy in the 90s, you just don't make a whole lot of money.
It's true.
And so you bought what you could afford.
Indeed.
Yeah, you're right about that. And that's how it was for me. That's why I was drinking natural light in those early days, because it was just cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Did the job, you know.
Yeah, that was probably back when the goal of drinking beer was not the same as the goal of drinking beer now.
Exactly. The goal back then was, let's get drunk, you know.
Right.
Which I still enjoy the buzz, but that's not my goal anymore. My goal is to enjoy the beer, enjoy the flavors, the experience, you know, hanging out with my friends, you know.
I'll be right.
Okay. Yeah, this is the part where we get to watch water boil. It's not very fun sometimes. I'm gonna take a peek at the monitor and see if we have any discussion going on. Doesn't look like it. So stage 2 of my freezer project is going to be getting a tap system built into it, where it's actually going to go through the wall that's adjacent to my garage here, which is, you know, the good old classic man cave. And I want to put the taps on the wall with, you know, nice wood finish, so it looks professional, maybe like a little bar. So as people are hanging out, they can just come up and help themselves. Right now, I'm relegated to opening the freezer, pulling the little picnic faucet out, and filling my growler, filling my pint glass up. But yeah, that just fine. Hey, he's back.
I'm back. There's potato chips in your house.
There is. And then later on down the road, once I get the tap system built, I want to build a little monitoring system in there to where I can bring up my phone or a tablet or a PC or whatever, and I can know exactly how much beer I have in the kegs, what kind of beer they are. I can monitor pressures. I can monitor my CO2. There are some products out there kind of with it, do some of the things that I wanted to do with mine. One of them is, I love the name, it's called Raspberry Pints. And it's reason it's called Raspberry Pints, for any tech heads out there will recognize the Raspberry Pi part of it, which is a little computer board about yay big. And this person who wrote these instructions up, he walks you through a process of using a Raspberry Pi to kind of monitor his system. And it even has a little, he recommends using a old monitor with, and I guess he used like HTML and web technologies to do the display system. It's really neat, actually.
You lost me on Raspberry Pi, Raspberry Pints.
Okay, disregard that. Just focus on the cake monitoring system.
That part I totally understood.
But it's called Raspberry Pints because it uses a Raspberry Pi mini computer to do all the work.
Oh, there's a mini computer called a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get it. Sadly, you had to explain it, and that just drained all of the.
He's not the technical
right out of it. I know technical stuff. I know about semicolons.
But point is, what this guy did with this Raspberry Pi setup is similar to what I want to do. But I want mine to monitor not just what beer is in there, but actually level of the kegs and the CO2 and the temperatures, and just have like a dashboard system, a little dashboard display that I can use to see what's going on with my beer.
I think that's a brilliant.
Whether I use a Raspberry Pi or not, I don't know, but
Tell me about this Raspberry Pi thing.
It's just a little computer about yay big.
Really? I mean,
and it's programmable, and you can use it to process stuff. It runs Linux. It runs a stripped down version of Linux. So I don't know who that is.
So it's a little piece of hardware that you can buy.
Yeah, they're about $40. You know what I mean? So, and then you can. I think the newer ones even have like Wi-Fi on them now. So it's a PC. It's just very small.
Now, when you say programmable, by that do you mean that like you can
like I can program
bias
like I can program
or whatever?
Like I can program what the pins do. There's pins on there where I can run to other components or sensors. A lot of people will hook up sensors to them, and like kind of what I want to do, monitor things. It's a generic computer. There's no specific market for it. I mean, it's just, I guess if anything.
So it actually could be even more useful than say a desktop to do that, because.
Well, they don't have that much power. I mean, you wouldn't replace a desktop, but.
Well, but for that
because that little
application,
niche application, yeah, it's like ideal for it because.
It's like you could just run pins to sensors instead of having to go buy some special USB.
Yeah, I wouldn't
keg
have to
weight
do any of that
sensor
stuff.
type deal.
Yeah, I would just use the computer to the Raspberry Pi.
That's pretty cool.
There's
dude.
a lot of other ones out there too. Raspberry Pi is just
No, I understand. But so that's when you say generic, so it's not Windows or Apple or anything like that.
No. What I mean generic is it's not intended for any one area. It's just a general generic computer. You know what I mean? And it runs Linux. It runs a type of Linux on it. So
That makes sense.
yeah, like a stripped down version of Linux. One of them was called Raspbian, based off the Debian Linux flavor, but I don't think they use Raspbian anymore. I think it changed recently. I don't keep up with the Raspberry Pi. I'm not like a huge tinkerer like in that aspect.
It's more of a hardware guy's thing.
Yeah, hardware hacker types. They're going to use those, or people that want to create little IoT networks, Internet of Things type setups. Raspberry Pis are real popular in that little maker sphere. You know what I mean?
Wire your house type deal.
Yeah, like I said, just a generic use computer that runs a flavor of Linux that you can program to do pretty much anything you want it to do. You can run sensors or whatever. You can run. Some people use them to run like closed circuit television security systems in their house. I could use it to monitor the keg system. There's tons of uses. Some people use them to program their sprinklers for their yards.
Well, see, I can see how that would be, and that would really be the way to go, because I think one of the reasons people don't trust computers a lot is because they have experience with desktops and Control-Alt-Delete and crashes and stuff. And I think what people don't realize is that what we ask desktops to do is just ridiculous for a computer. I mean, obviously they do it, but I mean, look what I asked my phone to do. I want it to make phone calls. I want it to send text messages. I want it to surf the internet. I want it to serve up games. I want it to do this, that, and all this fun stuff. And you know what I asked my fuel injection computer to do on my car? Monitor my fuel injection. That's it. Yeah. And it does it tip-top perfect. Bam.
Yeah, there's a idiom, if I may call it that, in the old Unix and Linux world that, you write something that let's say you write a script or whatever, or a piece of software, like you write it, you do that one thing and do it well,
Right, well, and that's the thing, is that if you talk, and that goes down to the hardware.
Right.
I mean, all the way to the hardware. It's like, don't ask this computer to do all these things. Ask it to do this. It's like you don't ask people in certain aspects of whatever field to do 9,000 other things. You're a welder. Weld.
Right.
Please weld. That's all I want you to do. I don't want you to do nuclear physics. Just weld. Weld. Right? I got the nuclear physicists to do nuclear physics, et cetera, et cetera. What time are we sitting at?
48 minutes remaining. We have ways to go. So, but yeah, that's one use of a Raspberry Pi, or any other little. I don't want to call them pocket computers because they're not pocket computers. Just little computer on a board. It's just a circuit board. That's all it is.
It doesn't even have a case.
You can get one separate, but if you buy a Raspberry Pi, it would come without a case. I mean, that's extra.
So it's got pins, right?
Yeah, there's pins on it that you can program. You can hook it up to a monitor. I think the newer ones have Wi-Fi on them now. So you can actually you can use Wi-Fi right to it. A lot of people interface like SSH to it through their terminal on their computer, and then do whatever they need to do to it. Program it or set it up, whatever the case might be. Program whatever pins.
SSH?
Secure shell.
Oh, I knew that, even though it sounds like I didn't know that.
It's a secure, it's just an encrypted tunneling, command line package, if I can call it that.
Right.
I say things like package a lot because that's what they're called in Linux. Well, I use Linux as my primary daily driver, so they're called packages.
Yeah, I get it.
Most Windows users will probably just call them programs or software. Because the Linux world, package management's a big thing with the software that you're installing or removing on your system. So.
I gotta put my glasses on. I don't want to see where Fausto called in from.
Oh, okay.
I think he's a Facebook guy.
Ah.
Yeah. He might have just flown by and said hi and then went back off about doing his day.
Maybe.
Well, you gotta think it's 8:30 in New York City.
Oh, yeah. It's getting dark. Or maybe. I don't know. I know by, a few months ago, it was already dark now. Up here when we were out here.
Yeah, dark and cold and nasty.
Right.
And today it's gorgeous.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's only almost 5:30 our local time.
That is a really good boil there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's looking good.
Yeah, I think we got that one dialed in just right. But I'm gonna explore some other methods of doing what I want to do with the monitoring system. There's another one out there called KBot, but it seems to be a lot more involved in that Raspberry Pi system.
You still need to get one of those little computers?
No, I don't think so. I started reading through it, and I was just kind of like, TLDR. I'm not, I'll come back to this one later because it seemed to be a lot more involved. But I was like, I don't need anything that crazy. I mean, originally I was just gonna write the software myself and set up my own little sensors, But
I think you should do that. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, because I already had the idea pretty much set. Like I knew exactly what I wanted to do. It's just basic. I don't need some of the ton of features that I'll never use, And I believe KBot
market for cheaper than all the other guys.
Well, I believe those other guys it's free anyway. It's open source software, so there's no money to be made there.
Maybe you could get the hardware and install it on the software. Sell it to guys like me who don't code at all. You could give me thousands of lines of open source software. I'd be like, thanks. Thanks.
Well, I understand what you're saying. These two that look at this, they're
But
not.
dude, it has functionality. I'm gonna hit you.
They're not proprietary, you know what I mean? So,
No, I get it, but still, it's a cool thing you could do.
Yeah.
Well, that's like Mac. Mac software is not its thing. It's a hardware package. Software and hardware combined,
Right.
but it's the whole thing. It's not just software, unlike Microsoft, which is software,
Right.
or Adobe.
No, Microsoft has dipped into the hardware market with the Surface.
Well, how about the Xbox One?
Yeah, the Xboxes, yeah.
And that phone that they made.
Windows Phone, yeah, that's no longer around that I know of.
I didn't know it. I don't know anybody who ever had it.
I knew one person who had a Windows Phone.
Yeah? What'd they think?
I don't know, they seemed to like it, but I think they were Windows fanboys.
Yeah, well, Not like me and my Mac ecosystem.
So, yeah. I wish there were more choices out there, not just limited to, Apple iOS or Android. There's some Linux companies out there that are trying to break into the market. So I think, when I understand, over in Europe, some of the other Linux-based phones are a lot more popular than they are here. I mean, here we're stuck with Android, and but I'm hoping to see some more players enter the market, at least in this side of the world.
Oh yeah. Well, that's if you start talking around outside America, the world has a lot of stuff that we don't have.
Yeah.
I'll also tell you this just because I've actually bought some of those products and I've talked with people who own those products. They have a lot of stuff that we don't have, and it is garbage. Particularly like Chinese stuff. It's like Onyx books. So I like large format e-readers. I really do.
Oh, this is the best part. The sun is.
Yeah, you might have to scoot forward. You'll be okay.
Blind. As I look at you, it blinds me. So.
Maybe I'll scoot forward. Or just don't look at me. Don't look at me.
I'll look at your general direction.
Just look kind of over here-ish. Yeah, we need to hang a flag if we're going to keep broadcasting from here.
Yeah.
In any case,
Take a vacuum and suck all the spiders out of the windowsill.
that'd be cool too. There are quite a few there.
Yeah.
But so I like large format e-readers. Sony makes one, the DSP something or other. Anyways, it's a full sheet of paper, right? The viewing area is a full sheet of paper. So 8.5 by 11 or whatever it is.
Right.
It's a big device. The sad thing is it costs like $1,200 and it only does PDFs. That's it. But it's e-ink. It's not like my tablet with the backlit and the video and the color. It's just e-ink. But I gotta tell you, I like that for reading stuff. It's like, and I'm a text guy. It's like I don't have any use for video. I enjoy videos. I'll surf on YouTube a little bit and things like that. But when it comes to gathering information, It's like save your pictures, save your videos, save your audio clips. I don't need any of that. Just write. Please write well. Write with good grammar. Write with nice syntax. But just write it.
Right.
Because I can just get down through it. And the e-ink is nicer to look at. This stuff hurts my eyes after a while.
Yeah, imagine that e-ink is definitely softer on the softer on the eyes.
So I bought this tablet from Onyx, which is a Chinese company. And it was great until it died. And it was always a little glitchy, but there were some things about it. It was great. I bought it for college because I could take notes.
Right.
And I could actually handwrite my notes. And because the Surface it was not capacitive, it was all through the stylus.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to worry about palm rejection.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, and it was great. I loved it. But it was unrepairable, and just like once it was dead, it was dead. And because it's a Chinese company, it's like it was a pain in the ass. So, and it didn't update well because I bought the Amazon version, and I'm sure part of it. But this was like in 2013,
Okay.
so long before our current tensions with China,
Right.
And yeah, and they've come out with new stuff, and it's like Some people say, yeah, it's great, and some people are like, yeah, it died within 48 hours. Here's what I know, it's in China, and I live in America, and China and America don't get along right now.
No, I wouldn't say we're enemies, but they're definitely an adversary, economic adversary, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we're like neighbors and don't like each other.
So yeah, I tend to avoid products from China if I can help it.
So you don't then?
Wait, don't what?
You said if I can help it.
If I can help
said,
it, yeah.
so you don't then?
Oh, that's not necessarily true.
It's a joke.
I get it.
Everything's made in China.
Not if I can help it.
Well, there's that computer that you bought. That's pretty fancy.
Yeah, I'm sure some of those parts were sourced from China or
Oh, yeah,
Taiwan
it's
at least maybe. Yeah.
Well,
But I know
that's the way it is.
that company does everything they can to source their materials in the United States. They hand build the machines in their factory in Colorado. But there's just some things they probably can't get, you know, or it's just way too expensive, so they're kind of probably forced to source from overseas, you know. But I'd rather buy something with a chip made in Taiwan than China. So.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting thing. So if you
It's not identical, I'm sure, but
if you
it's
talk
more of a
if you talk to
wishful
someone from Taiwan, they say they're from Taiwan. If you
Right.
talk to someone from China, they say the Taiwanese are Chinese.
Exactly. I know, and that's why I said that. I mean, kind of a dick.
That's like it was a huge. It was
Oh well.
Well, that was like a huge thing when Trump called the Chinese president and congratulated him because for years America had a policy of not recognizing Taiwan, but at the same time recognizing Taiwan, which, and here's where I'm going to break the family-friendly thing, is absolute bullshit. Either recognize them as a country or don't.
Right.
And the truth is, Taiwan is a better country humanitarian-wise than China is. It just straight up. Sorry for any Chinese listeners.
And it's not Chinese people, it's your government that we're.
Yeah, we're not attacking the Chinese, but seriously, you know, we're not supposed to be political on this.
I know we kind of broke our rule.
Yeah, that's
bringing
all right.
Politics into it, but I wouldn't say we're being political. I mean, we are kind of being political, but we're not trying to drive a political motive. We're just kind of.
Well, we're not
discussing
jumping into the
something.
Republican, Democrat,
Right.
conservative, liberal thing.
We're not trying to tout something. We're just kind of
Right.
discussing some things, you know. So
Right.
I think we're okay.
And we're being equally.
We're being objective.
Abusive
Yeah, we're being
people.
objective. Yeah. We're messing with everybody.
Yeah, we don't. The one thing, it's just unfortunately, Americans just apparently we're not mature enough to have discussions. You know,
Right.
we just get butthurt and offended, and we cancel each other, and it's kind of pathetic, really.
It is. It really is.
It's like,
You know, on an individual level, that doesn't really happen, but at the macro American level, especially how this stuff is amplified all over things like Twitter and Facebook, the rest of the world just sees a bunch of whiny bitches, man. You know what I mean?
yeah, they do. Well, but the end result, just to finish up the Taiwanese thing, our official policy on Taiwan is absolute bullshit. Because it really is, we recognize you as a country, but we don't, so that we can still keep China happy.
Right.
It's like, yeah, bullshit.
Yeah, that goes to what was it, last year, a couple of years ago, when the riots were going on in Hong Kong, and all of a sudden a lot of U.S. companies were just bowing to China. Oh, we recognize Hong Kong as part of China, or Taiwan as part of China. They were changing graphics and logos and stuff to bow to China because of the bottom line, because the money was coming from China.
Money pushes hard.
Spineless CEOs. You guys are spineless. Sorry, rant over.
All right, we're done with that. Wow, we broke all sorts of personal rules.
It's all right, though.
That's all right.
We got some things off our chest. So
Yeah, feel better.
hopefully you didn't lose any potential
Yeah.
viewers, but hey, you know, it is what it is. Back to beer.
Well, sadly, if we lost viewers, we'd go from 0 to negatives. So, hey, you know.
Dude, we got negative 30 viewers, man.
Nice! Awesome! People actively went out of their way to take us off their friends'
I know,
devices. All right, so where are we at? What are we talking about? China.
Wow, we really went on a tangent, man.
That's all right, man. That's the whole goal. I'm glad we did that because it's more fun that way.
It is, it is. So time-wise, we're at... Oh, where'd you go?
Is this going to be another one of those we have no idea beers?
No, it's just being dumb.
Well, you're right in the bright sunshine, man. That's the
We're
other
at
reason.
34 minutes remaining on this.
Oh wow, that's a
So-
lot of stalling.
Yeah.
We should really talk about lambic beers at
But we
some
can
point.
talk about lambic beers. We can talk about technology stuff if you want. We can talk about music. We can talk about whatever, man.
You know what else we can talk about?
What's that?
Empty beers.
You beat me this time. I'm still mostly full. Dude.
Holy crap, dude!
I'll get you a beer though.
No. Sit down. Finish your beer.
Well, what happened was I opened mine kind of preemptively, and I still had probably about half of that.
Which
bottle
meant
left.
I beat you in the lager too.
Yeah, so.
Slowpoke calling.
Calling Nurse Steve. Calling Nurse Steve.
See what I have to put up with. It's worth it though. It's worth it.
Oh.
So, I have a. Speaking of for cans, I have a boob that goes on top of a beer can. It's designed to go on a beer can. It's a little nipple, you know.
Yeah, I got it, boob.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a nipple bottle, a bottle nipple.
A nipple bottle.
Nipple bottle.
A nipple bottle.
Bottle boob?
Bottle.
Tell you what it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a boob.
It looks like a boob.
Well, that's because it's a nipple. Boobs have nipples.
Boobs have nipples. It has a areola.
I'm looking at this thing in my mind, and no, it's one color.
You sure about that? I thought it
Pretty
had two
positive.
colors, man.
It is not. No, it is not a faux boob. It's a nipple that
Dude.
goes over a cup.
It is a boob.
It is not a boob.
Should I go retrieve it?
Yes, go get it. We have totally. Hide your children. Hide your children. Meanwhile, I'm going to look up lambic beers. Oh, I need my glasses. Don't get old. Don't get old. It sucks getting old.
We making a wager?
No.
He's concerned I might be correct.
Well, you own it. I don't think you're correct, though.
Totally a boob.
Oh, sure enough.
That
It's
is
a
a boob.
One boob, okay.
See, look, there's an areola.
Yeah, you might want to check that
And a
one.
nipple. And it goes over the top of a can.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I don't know where it came from. It's some kind of like gag gift, I guess.
Some gag gig. I get the joke. All right, I'm gonna look up lambic beers while you go
Check on
make
the
sure that
children.
no children are dead.
You guys okay? Yeah. All right. I heard some. Yeah, you're pushing the.
Lambic beers. Mm, I don't really want to go to Wikipedia because, you know, Wikipedia is Wikipedia, but I don't know, Wikipedia does all right. Let's scroll down. Top rated beers. Lambic, traditional beer advocate. A beginner's guide to lambic style beer. Hop culture. Let's go there. Hopculture.com. Let's see what they have to say. Oops, pictures. Lambic style beers have an air of mystery and intrigue. Mystery and intrigue, Steve. Woo! Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah.
More theremin-y.
Theremin.
Theremin. You know a theremin, right?
Theremin?
A theremin? Theremin?
No.
You're not aware of the theremin?
No.
Literally, total capacitance instrument.
Oh.
It is a capacitance instrument. You literally proximity to this antenna, proximity to that antenna, and you move your hands, and you don't actually ever touch the instrument. It's totally electronic. It's cool, and it makes sounds like that.
This guy.
All right, that's
No,
it.
I've never heard of that before. It's a new thing to me.
Here we go.
And we're gonna look it up.
Wait, you, I'm telling you, man, you've got to right here.
30 minutes, man.
Listen, we got time. We got
No,
time.
we got time. You're gonna bear with us while we look things up and talk about them.
So this-
Theremin, huh?
Theremin. Theremin. Bam. And we're going to listen to Over the Rainbow, which is not going to sound as good for y'all out there, because although in the future we could do this where we could route the audio, but for today you're just listening to my iPad.
Mr. Bubler, you can't keep breaking in here.
Bubbly just came up with bubbly bounce.
A little kick of caffeine.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly what I need to fix
An
this.
ad I can't skip.
Yeah.
You owe me money, Bubbly.
No calories, no sweeteners, just a kick of caffeine.
All right, here we go. Just listen.
Sounds like piano.
Just wait. See that?
That's weird, man. It's electronic, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes me think of like some of those like Asian instruments, you know, like Chinese,
Yeah, well,
you know, type things.
yeah, he's kind of got the woo or the who sound going on for that. All right.
Mine is so good.
Notice that he is not actually touching the instrument.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I never knew that thing existed until you said something.
Yeah. I mean, just look. I mean, he's just holding his proximity, and it's all magnetic fields and all that crazy stuff.
I wonder who like figured that out. I mean,
Probably Nikolai Tesla.
oh, it's his creation, isn't it?
I don't know if it's his or not. All right, that's enough. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a particularly big fan of the theremin sound.
No, it just makes me think of like cartoon sounds or something, you know.
Oh yeah, it was so one of the most famous places it was used was in Mars Attacks.
Oh.
It was the instrument that blew up the Martians' heads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was the old ladies' music that she loved so much that blew up their heads. Yep, that was the theremin.
Wow. So that thing has been around for a long time, huh?
Oh yeah, that's not like a 2014 new technology. That's like old stuff.
Like 19th century? Do you think it originated?
Maybe not 19th, but definitely 20th.
Earlier
Probably mid to late 20th century.
Do you remember the old, like original, like black and white Little Rascals TV show?
Yes.
The one they made in like what, the 20s and 30s or whatever it was.
Right. I didn't watch a lot of it, but I watched enough of it to know about it.
Did you watch enough that you can hear the little intro sound? Isn't that sounds like it might have been created by that?
No,
Anyway, I was probably a little off on that sound, but
we could look it up.
we could look it up.
We have audio too.
Yeah.
We have intelligence, knowledge, and audio. And video, which I just showed them. I showed video to video to video. It was kind of circular.
It's right to create a paradox.
I really hope we can get out of your garage here in half an hour. It'd suck. Well, wait. We would be stuck in here with beer, so that's not such a bad thing.
There's a lot of beer here.
There it is.
We got 5 gallons of beer.
Dude, that's what I want to do next. I want to go ahead and hit
You want a pint of green?
I want
green.
green. What, do you remember what it is? Is that the Terry stuff?
That's Terry's IPA.
So the American Life one? Yes, I do. You know what I want to do first?
What's that?
Use the restroom because, yeah.
That's what beer does to you. You only
It
drink
is.
it.
Most professional broadcast this side of the Columbia River.
You know what? That's fine, man. I think, how many people have told us, like, don't change? Just random people that view us.
More than one.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just keep it unprofessional and have fun with it. Hope you can have fun too. I mean, hell, that's the whole purpose of this. Drink beer, make beer, talk about beer, and apparently China in this broadcast. Talk about going to the bathroom. I mean, hell, we can talk about it all. No, if anybody's actually even watching, you can post something for us to talk about with you. You know, maybe we can have a little conversation through the chat. But kind of circling back to my freezer setup, if anybody knows of any other projects or setups for, you know, monitoring your system, you know, I'd love a link or a comment or something. You know, I'd go check it out. And then, maybe when I get mine done, I'll put it out there for the world to use if they want to use it. I think it'd just be pretty fun to tinker around with some sensors and load cells and build a little monitoring system. It'd be all right.
Mwah. Hey, there's chips in your house.
There's also onion dip.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It goes in that little butter-looking container, those butter chips.
Probably dairy based.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is. If it's like French onion dip or whatever.
I'm so glad Lent doesn't worry about beer.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. 24 minutes. So was it 15 or 5 minutes? For
5.
5, okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah. That's what I was mentioning. It's going to be very aromatic.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm okay with talking about the beer app now. If you want to talk about it, if we can talk about it another day. If you don't want to talk about it on this broadcast, because we saw that other actual commercial product that's very similar. I'm okay discussing it now because.
Do it.
So
Talk about it, man.
a couple broadcasts ago, Jamie had mentioned a beer app, and I said, whoop, I didn't want to talk about it.
Steve's a software engineer. That's what we need to intro that. Steve is a software engineer.
I am a software engineer.
Yes. Just embrace that. Don't hide from it.
So-
you are a software engineer. Go.
What I thought would be cool was, imagine you have your phone or your tablet, whatever you like to use, and you are craving a beer, but you don't know what's on tap in your local area. And so you would bring up the app and you could search, you could search for a beer type or a name or style, whatever kind of little, search ideas, someone, a regular user, someone who would look for beer would use. And, the beer would, or excuse me, the app would have your location if you allowed it, and it would search based off a radius of your location. Think of a flash, a circle sphere going around you, and it would search for any beers that might be in your area, and it would let you know, hey, we found the beer you're looking for at Joe's Tavern, whatever. Now, the caveat though is the data is always is only available through what people put into it. So, meaning I can't travel the world or the country and put all this data in who has what beer on tap. So users, if they opt to, they can actually visit their favorite tavern and maybe put in a beer or two that's on tap.
That's mine, by the way, but I'll show them that really quick.
Okay, quick. This is the IPA that we made, about a month ago? We brewed it, give or take.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
So it's still in the carbonation, it's still going through carbonation, so it's not quite ready, but it's definitely in a drinkable state.
Totally drinkable.
We'll try to bring it a little closer. So it's got your kind of your typical dark golden IPA look to it.
More IPA than that one we made.
Yeah, that one we made was terrible.
It was
So
not
anyway-
terrible. It just wasn't an IPA. It was.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
I thought it was, I could drink
You
it.
lied to me?
I told you I didn't like it.
No, you never said you didn't like it.
I did
You
say
said that you didn't think it was an IPA. You never said, I'm hurt, dude. I might cry. I'm a sensitive guy.
No, this is an IPA.
Can't believe you didn't like it. I liked it. I drank lots of
Okay,
it.
let me
That's
rephrase.
probably why I drank all of it.
Let me rephrase it. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't like fake
No,
it.
no,
Okay.
no, don't
sugarcoat it for you a little
don't do any of that. Just go ahead. Cutting right here. Go ahead. Come on.
So
Right there.
the idea behind the app was to
That's nice.
was to crowdsource the data. Anybody who's out there and wants to contribute can, use the app. Use the app to feed the database essentially, and it would use other technology to know if you allowed your location to be known. It could know, oh, I'm at Joe's Tavern, and then you wouldn't have to type all that in. It would know where you're at, and then you just kind of put in the type of beer it is and maybe the style or whatever, and then some future user who's looking for that beer might be able to find it in your area. But something like that's going to take a lot of time because obviously the app has to have some kind of purpose for people to want to use it, and maybe they don't want to punch in a bunch of information. So I don't know. It was kind of an experimental thing. So.
And there are some competitors out there, but when Steve gets his done, you should use his. That's what he's trying to say. And I think you should use
I'm just
his.
trying to keep it very simplified. I want this beer. Is it in my area? No, it's not. Or, hey, I think I'm gonna contribute to the this beer database. And throw, my favorite tavern has a couple beers on tap. I'm gonna put them in there. That's it. That was my app idea.
I think it's
Take it
brilliant.
on with it.
I thought it was brilliant. It was a brilliant idea. Experienced some disappointment last night as we found out that somebody else thought of it also.
Right. And I can't reasonably assume that I'm the only one in the world that would think of something like that.
I downloaded their app and I don't know, I didn't play with it very long and I was about 5 beers in, so it was hard to think. It was strong beer that we were drinking. But the point being, I think his is going to be better. Because he's my buddy. Love this guy. Drink beer, no things.
Drink beer, no things.
Apparently you drink beer slowly. I don't even know what that is.
It's malt.
To you, sir.
To you. Well, that's a good IPA.
I think so.
Way better than our last IPA.
I like the last one.
Which I want to make the last one again.
Haven't we made more than one? I think we made like 3 IPAs at this point, haven't we?
I thought it was this one, that one.
Mm-mm.
And we made a lot. We made 2 cream ales, we made 2 Kolsch's, and a couple stouts. But we only made 2 IPAs. So
We still don't know what that one is over in the kitchen.
I think that's a Kolsch.
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure it's a Kolsch.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because that's a Kolsch, and the one at my house is the cream ale.
it's a cream ale.
At least we think it's a cream ale.
It'll be cream ale. That tastes like
It was
cream ale.
supposed to be a cream ale when we started.
I think it'd be fine because we always take a little sample when we're racking or whatever. It doesn't always taste the best because it's room temperature and it's flat, but it gives you an idea of what it's going to be when you're done.
It certainly lets you know if it's infected or not.
Right. That's a big part of it,
I mean, we haven't had any infected beers yet, knock on wood, but still, it should be pretty quick. It's like, whoa, this is gross.
Yeah, you'll know it pretty quick. And we always do it at every little intermediate step, not just the first racking, but we'll take a little taste test when we keg it, just to see if anything changed after the racking. And also we check for the clarity, see how clear it is. We'll just kind of hold it up, and because that racking process really helps clear your beer up, and it removes all the crap that was there from the boil that just kind of over time will actually alter the beer if you leave it in there too long. You shouldn't leave a beer in the primary for more than 3 weeks, roughly, because all that chub or whatever that is down there, it can start affecting the beer. After
But that's
3
something
weeks.
we've learned rather recently, though.
Yeah.
Because remember, we used to be like, as far as we
I
know,
left one in like 6 weeks one time.
I left one in for 2 years.
But yeah, that didn't get made into beer.
Yeah, we dumped that one.
We dumped it.
That did not look good.
Right. Well, one thing that the big brewers do is they pasteurize or have other processes they use to preserve the beer. So us home brewers, we don't have that. We don't typically have the means or the funds to do that kind of stuff. So homebrew does not last as long. If you bottle it, I mean, obviously it'll last a while, but even in the bottle, I probably wouldn't go more than 6 months.
Why would you want to?
So at that point, you're going to drink
You're
it.
supposed to drink it. Drink the beer.
Because when you bottle, there's still a little bit of the sediment that makes it in the bottle as well. So
Well, I imagine it depends on how many times you rack.
yeah.
I mean, if you want to,
Well,
you could.
Remember when you bottle, you gotta add priming sugar in there.
Oh well, yeah, that's
Because
true.
now you don't put it in. I guess you could put it in the bottle, but ideally, if you're gonna bottle your whole batch, put your priming sugar in your batch.
Can you put it in the bottle though?
You can, but it's gonna be inconsistent though.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
What if you use a very precise measuring thing, like a little scale that measures?
Save yourself having to do all that precise measuring. Just put it in your wort and then bottle your wort and call it a day.
What if you just want to do a 6-pack in the bottles and the rest you want to do regular?
Then I would keg it, carbonate it, and then put it in a bottle and then cap it.
But then it will. Then it foams everywhere, kind of like someone's growler last night.
Not if you have a fill system, you know what I mean?
for putting, which brings us all the way back to our question of are the macro brews, is that carbonated beer that they put in the bottle and
Well,
they cap
yeah,
it?
that I don't know what they do there, but I know we could keg a beer, carbonate it, use a filler tube, and then just cap it right away so it keeps that carbonation. You know what I
Like
mean?
with the thing? That's not a bad idea. Maybe we should do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like we just wanted to primarily keg your beer, but share a 6-pack of it. As long as your bottles and your caps and everything are clean, I mean, it's fine that way too. You know?
Well, the reason I'm thinking we should do it that way is because it would make it much easier to do our comparison beers. We wouldn't have to do 10 gallons at once.
Right.
Think about it.
We
could do.
wait, yeah, we would. 'Cause
Why?
We're changing the recipe though.
I know, but what we could do is we could do 1 gallon. We could do a 5-gallon batch, keg it, right?
Right.
Pour it into 6-pack of bottles, pop them, right? So they're sealed. Put those off to the side. And then the next week, we could do the different one with our changes.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because the bottle will last longer, yeah.
Right, because you can just set the bottles on the shelf.
Right, it's label them, whatever, so.
I mean, the keg could last longer too, but who wants to wait that long to drink a beer? The goal is empty kegs
Right.
that become full kegs that become empty kegs. It's cyclical.
Or we could just do the individual bottle measuring, but it just create, it's easier if you're gonna bottle the whole thing than try to just bottle part of it, but.
Well, I get it, but I was just thinking, if you're only doing a 6-pack, you can measure out like 3 grams of sugar for each bottle.
Right.
Put your wort in, put the sugar in.
Well, that was like the traditional way of doing it, but you run the risk of it being inconsistent. But if you dissolve your sugar into your wort and then bottle your whole thing up, it's the same across the board.
Right, no, I understand exactly what you're
By
saying.
doing individual, you take a chance of blowing your bottles up too. You know what I mean?
Right, well, you'd have to know exactly how much you need to put in. You'd have to figure that out. There's maths, because remember, like we always say, it's not science, but it's
But it is
science.
But it is science.
It is science.
There's lots of chemistry and biology in there. When you think about it.
No, you're absolutely right. There's a ton of science that goes into this.
But yeah, I see your point though. In like bottle 6-pack of the one.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. Just a 6-pack, not like a whole 5 gallons. If we're doing
But I
5
think if
gallons
we're gonna
of
do
bottles,
that, then let's just finish it, carbonate it, bottle it through the keg already carbonated, and then save it, and then do the next batch with our adjustments, and then do the same process. And that way we'll have the 6-pack of each style, so we don't have to brew 10 gallons at once. That's a good point actually. So.
yeah, well, I just so in 2 weeks we'll do this side by side,
Right.
right? And that'll be fine because that'll be cool. But what I'm just thinking that in the future as we do these things, we can just do 5 gallons because 10 gallons of beer, that's a lot of beer.
It's a lot of beer.
We only have,
But
we
can
do
split it
have
between
2
the houses.
primaries.
We can split it between the 2 houses.
But we wouldn't, because we want everything about those beers to happen the same.
Oh, yeah.
Which, with that in mind, we should still probably do it 10, until we build like an environmentally controlled fermenter box,
Mhm.
that keeps it at a solid temperature. But if we want to do exactly the same, we would need those beers to sit, because my house is much colder than your house. Like I just keep my house colder, and so like the keg, the fermenter that stayed here
Right.
would be of a different temperature
Yeah.
than the fermenter at
We
my
need
house.
them to be the same, yeah.
Right, so they'd have to stay in the same house, so wherever we do it. I mean, and that is science right there. The whole idea of you eliminate all the variables except for the one that you want to modify. How are we doing? What do we got for time?
Time, we're at 10 minutes
Nice.
and 35 seconds. So here soon, I'm gonna get this ready.
This is good stuff, man. Well done.
Yeah, we did good on that one. Good job, dude. Even it's not quite fully carbonated state, it's still all right, I think.
Oh yeah, no, well that's what I was saying. It's totally drinkable. I'm like, yeah, let's drink this now. Why
I don't
not?
remember what the ABV on this one was. It's probably typical, probably like a 6.5
Probably not.
or something, you know.
Not too harsh.
But it definitely has the IPA aroma and the flavor. Not too thick. It's a little hazy. I don't know if that was intentional or if we just didn't quite, you know, or if it's because of the sediment. You know, I really don't know. I think it was supposed to be hazy. I think the intention was to be kind of hazy.
Well, for the American Life,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. I've brewed it before. You know, this is not the first time I've done that.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I think we've done it before because
Right.
it's pretty much, with the exception of when you were in Lemoore.
We might have did it before that. It's only before I went to Lemoore. Was what I mean, or when I visited or something. 'Cause
Yeah, I gotta be honest, man. I did not brew much beer when you were gone. You left, it sucked all the life out of the beer. It's lifeless,
Well,
Dead.
you went and grabbed the equipment.
fish-handed beer.
You grabbed the equipment when I was
I know.
already down there.
I lied to myself. It took all the joy out of it. You were gone. The world was dark.
I think there was a couple
depressed.
occasions where I was.
He is
Busy.
not picking up on all
No,
this
I
humor.
am. I am.
No, you're
No,
not.
I'm just thinking. I'm just trying to think of the. It was so long ago.
It's so sarcastic,
I know.
though.
I get it. I get it. I retired from active duty, and we really got hardcore in brewing for a while there, and then
That's true. We
then we
did.
both got jobs.
That was what it was. It was that we both got jobs. We need to
Yeah.
fix that.
We both left active duty, got jobs, and and that kind of killed our brewing
What do you
until.
think about robbing a bank? One good
Yeah.
$1 million heist, and we wouldn't have to have jobs anymore.
It's true, but the problem is they're not really. They're not. It's the probability of success is really low.
It is. You're right. We're smart. We're smart people. We could do this. Let's think about
We
it.
could. We could.
The problem is we've just broadcast to 1 million people that we
We
might
just
rob a
told
bank.
the world we're gonna rob a bank.
None of you say a word.
Joke.
No worries.
But think about it though, even though we do both work full time and have families and children, typical American nuclear family.
Very 1950s.
I know, right?
And 1970s.
We do make time to brew every 2 weeks, and we picked it up in early 2020 again is when we started brewing again, pretty much.
Yeah, it was pretty soon. I mean, we
Or was it
started.
even as late as 19 we were brewing again? I can't remember.
It might have been late 19, but we started broadcasting and stuff fairly soon after. We could
Yeah.
probably look back because it's like we started brewing, we brewed a couple, and then we started broadcasting. We just started
Yeah.
doing it.
So
So
we brewed actually quite a bit because we were bouncing between my house and your house for the brew days. And then for the longest time we used to brew on my front porch.
that's right. So we probably did.
I think it was like 2019 we started brewing.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely like even
we
like
picked it up.
not even late 19, like kind of mid-late 19.
Yeah.
So like fall, August, October.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Somewhere
It sounds
between
kind
there.
of
Because you're right, we did.
line
We
and a
brewed
half,
quite
we started,
a few.
yeah. And then we were like, man, we should broadcast this,
Yeah, because it's fun. He said, look, we got 22 viewers.
Wow.
Not that many comments. We got my friend Fausto from New York, my friend Dan from Brazil,
Right?
your daughter from right over there in the garage. But still, it's 22 viewers. People have looked.
Yeah.
We got 3 likes and 1 20-cent donation. Thank you, Dan.
Hey, thank you.
But it is fun. Where are we sitting?
6 minutes, 10 seconds.
Time to get ready.
Yeah.
Are you already ready?
I
Like
am
you've
ready.
already opened it. All that fun
The
stuff.
pouch is open when you eat one of these little pellets.
No, man, no. It's not.
It's very bitter.
Oh man, leg cramp. Hold on. Oh,
What did you
geez.
do?
I don't know. I got old. Somewhere in my life, I got old.
I got
And
old
now my
somewhere
legs-
in my life.
Ow. Ow.
I
Oh,
should write a song about that, man.
you know, maybe I
What is that
will.
child doing?
I don't know. Dances with recycle bins. That's her new Indian name. No offense to Native American friends, because I actually do have several Native American friends. No offense. Just being silly. Go ahead.
Not ready.
How about now?
Now?
Yes,
No.
how about now?
Nope.
Okay, I'm done.
Not yet.
I'm just waiting now. All right, I'm stirring. I saw that. You got like 6 seconds. Just dump it. Come on. It's not that scientific. There you
Yay! All right.
go. All right, nice.
So we are at the 5-minute point now to the rest of this boil, which means after this we're gonna need to chill it.
All right, sweet. So check it out. Why don't we go ahead and log off?
Sounds good. I'm gonna get the wort chiller.
Wait,
down.
come on back down. Come on, let's
Oh, yeah,
let's
we
say
gotta
goodbye
do that.
first.
A little closing sequence stuff.
Yeah, it's not super important, but it's still kind of cool. All right, so anyways, hey, we're at the end of this boil. In the future, we're gonna add some segments like racking.
Right.
That's a good idea. Some
Wort chilling.
other stuff so that we don't have to kind of spitball as much as we do.
We'll get it figured out one day.
Yeah, at one point, we will figure this all out, and then we'll probably have something else to do. Say,
Right.
I don't want to do this anymore. All right.
I got a new job.
So 22 people watched. That's cool, and I know that's legit because I only logged in once. It's not like the other time where there was 9 people watched and 7 of them were me.
Logged in 7 different times.
All right. So, hey, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and log out. Thank you very much for watching. If you're watching the replay, we appreciate that. Please check back every 2 weeks because we do this every 2 weeks. You never know. We're just goofy, have fun, we're brewing beers. If you actually make comments, we will very much engage with you. I don't know. Haps is saying they're working on their latency, so it's down to like 2 or 3 seconds,
Okay.
which is a big thing. We understand. You know, if you make this really cool comment and then 30 seconds later we're already talking about something else and your comment pops up, it kind of ruins your clever wittiness. I get that. I've been doing the streaming thing, but you know, if you're a person who's familiar with streaming, you know about all this stuff. In any case, I think this beer is going to be awesome. It's going to be a red ale, Irish style, right?
Irish, yeah.
Is that just Irish red or Red Tide?
Red
The name of
Tide
the
is
beer
the name.
is Red Tide. Haven't done a red beer yet, so we're going to try that.
This is a new one, yeah.
We've been drinking ambers and IPAs and classic lagers today. Thank you very much, and like we always say,
Relax.
have a homebrew.
Homebrew.